Welcome, one and all, to Hazard Analysis, Episode 5. Folks, I am your King of Extreme, Phil K.O.E., the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man that makes the other podcast cower. And from that marvelous introduction, apparently the king and impresario of all that is hip-hop as well, Phil K.O.E. You can, of course, find me at K.O.E. Nation on YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch, and here, the newest home of K.O.E. Nation and Phil K.O.E. Hazard Analysis right here, folks. Hazard Analysis on YouTube, the place to be for you and me. And because they always make it so hard for those new channels, hit that like, that share, that subscribe, and most important, that notification bell, folks. That notification bell, probably the most important thing. But thank you all. God bless you for being here this particular evening. And on this amazing, indomitable evening, I am joined this evening by my indomitable broadcast partner, the one, the only,
the 14-time Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion, non-chill filtered, non-coppa friendly, quadruple distilled, and thrice-barreled Tony fucking G. Find me on TikTok at Tony the Rod, all one word. And yes, it is Hazard Analysis, Episode 5, coming at you live from a new time slot here at the Big Buckin' Empire on Facebook, the Big Buckin' Empire on YouTube, Big Buckin' Empire on Twitch, and of course, more importantly, to grow that channel, like Phil said, Hazard Analysis on YouTube. That's Hazard_analysis, if you can so graciously find it and hit that subscribe button. We are trying to grow. We are trying to get bigger. We are trying to make sure that our voices are heard to all those who need to hear it. Let's be frank. If you have working ears, you need to be hearing it.
That's a very, very true, good sir. Hazard Analysis. In fact, I'm going to be so nice to the beautiful people out there. I am dropping a link pretty much everywhere, folks.
Wow.
There you go. Hazard Analysis in all of the chats.
There it is.
Yes, this is the new place to be for you, for me, and all sundry to see Tony G and Phil K.O.E. God damn it, I'm good. But so, Tony, we're here to Hazard Analysis to talk about the issues of the day, the topics of the day. And me, I'm just generally here to spread more peace, love, and contentment around the world, as I do everywhere I go. So, so folks, I'm sorry. I am right. Many of you are wrong. Don't question it. Just make the necessary adjustments. That's what needs to happen. So, Tony G, before we get into it, on this fine evening, this Sunday evening, are you enjoying a libation? Or are you going? How are you going this evening?
Real quick, Bandit says I have a link on YouTube to watch this on YouTube. Well, that is ideal. That is ideal.
Yeah.
It should be. This is the YouTube channel here, Hazard Analysis, right there. If you can find it, like YouTube does not have the best search function. That's no secret, but
for new channels, no,
is specifically what you're looking for.
Like you have to get past a certain number of subscribers before your channel will even show up when you search it. So, and we just passed that threshold. So, folks, please help us. Please make this show grow. Alesto T. And like I always say, like, if you share this with a friend, if you have not sent the link of Hazard Analysis, the gift of Hazard Analysis to a friend, can you really even call yourself a friend? Because you're just
more of an
withholding
enemy.
at this
Let's
point.
be frank.
Yeah, I mean, you're just withholding at this point. I mean, you could do so much more. So here on Hazard Analysis, are you enjoying a libation this evening?
I haven't yet. I'm about to, Phil. Why don't you tell us if you're having one, and then I'm going to get into what I'm going to try.
I'm just having, I was going to get into Wahoo corn whiskey, but then when I was grabbing a piece of note, it just dropped and my hand was just pointing right at Woodford Reserve Double Oak Spirit World store pick. And I just told myself, okay, I'll have me at one dram of this. And honestly, last night, it was kind of strange. I didn't drink anything last night. I just kind of chilled out at my house, recorded some audio for a new SCP reading I did. Grow the farm up. There, I subbed and like. What all do I get? What you get is...
You get the greatest gift of all. Phil will take a gin shot on the Dog and Chicken Show.
Oh, you motherfucker.
Episode 180 of the Dog and Chicken Show.
I was going to say what you get is the eternal thanks and gratitude of Phil K.O.E. And most importantly, you get to see that glorious Phil K.O.E. smile. Grow the farm up. What could, like, I know that is one thing you desire more than anything else in this life. Now, actually, Grow the Farm Up wants to know if there's a way that he can utilize the 5-minute mute in real life. Like,
we'll work on something.
That's something you guys are gonna have to work on, but we'll see how that goes.
So I'm gonna try something different tonight. I'm gonna go full screen for a minute.
Oh, hey!
Not on you, on me preferably. Thank you. So I've had this tonic water sitting around for a while, and I've got just a little bit of this Pinnacle gin left. So I thought, why not try a gin and tonic? Because I've never made one. So apparently there's multiple ways to do it. It's really hard to fuck up. So I've got a glass full of ice. It says fill up a cup with ice. And you're going to go, you can either go 1 to 3 or 1 to 1. Well, I'm just going to kind of eyeball this. And we're going to do the best we can with what I've got to work with, folks. This is on the air. This is the first time I've ever made a gin and a tonic. So let's open up the gin. Oh boy, let's open up the tonic. All fizzy. Let's just go 50-50 and see what happens. Well, maybe like less than that. Okay. Now you're supposed to garnish with like a lemon wedge, and I don't have any fresh lemons, unfortunately.
What?
So I'm going to have to just do a little sprinkle of real lemon. There. That should be plenty. Sanitary, going to use my pinky and give it one little stir. And I've got just enough gin for a full review, Phil.
Aw.
All right. Actually, it smells kind of like Alka-Seltzer, but a little sweeter. Not shocked about that. Here we go. That is not awful. That is not terrible. Mostly, yeah, the gin's really diluted. I guess the ice really kills that gin flavor. And the tonic just gives it a carbonation. Pretty refreshing. Honestly, that's not terrible. I could drink a few of these. And, I have a feeling this would be better if it was in a shaker, but that's personal preference. No, that's not bad. Not bad. As a gin drink, I'll give that a solid 3. As a mixed drink, I give it a 2.5. That's not something I would go out of my way for by any means. But then again, I'm no professional. First time I ever made it. Maybe get a bartender in here, make me one. Maybe I'll change my mind on that. Yeah, no, that's pretty refreshing. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Pinnacle Gin. That's not a bad one either. And I'm using, I was wondering, Schweppes tonic water. So there you have it. A gin and tonic by Tony G. Cheers.
Now, T, what a lot of people don't know is most whiskey distillers, Tony G for the win, ×2, ×3, ×4. What a lot of people don't know is most whiskey distillers, when they get done with their night, they don't generally drink whiskey. They'll usually have like a gin and tonic or a vodka and orange juice screwdriver just to kind of chill out at the end of the night. So, yeah, it's not very typical that they, Alesto thinks this is blasphemy. Yeah. And Grow the Farm Up goes, let's give Tony G a break because of his superhuman ziggy-zaggy ability to chug beer. So, all right. Now, we got to get into something here. We have a major announcement. We have a huge guest that has made a sudden appearance, a sudden run into the hazard analysis universe, folks. Like, how there's the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there's the DC Universe, there's the WWE Universe. Well, now there's the hazard analysis big bucking empire K.O.E. Nation Universe, and his introduction once again, his re-entrance. The one, the only, Osiris. How we doing, sir?
Good evening, gentlemen. How you guys doing tonight?
All right.
Wonderful. How are you, sir?
Great.
So how's the great land of, its own country of Texas treating you?
Good as usual. Nice, temperate 55 degrees today.
Yeah, it's cold as shit here, so we're all like, yeah, fuck you, man.
It got pretty nice in the afternoon. We even went fishing.
Yeah, it got nice for like 2 hours. I'll give you that. For 2
Yeah.
hours, it got pretty nice. But other than
Yeah.
that, it's been awful cold. It stopped all planting around here. Yeah, Osiris, your mic's a little up there, but not too
How
much.
about now? What are we sounding like?
Oh, bien.
Perfect.
There we
Nailed
go.
it.
Muy es perfecto.
Fucking nailed
But
it.
I will
Yes.
say, so Osiris, it's just been another slow news week. Not much been happening. Just pretty glum drum.
Well, this is
You know,
America. You can make up your own news.
hey, I'm an expert in that. What are you talking
Oh,
about?
we're going to do that. That is exactly
um,
what we are here to do over the next couple hours.
But yeah, no,
Right.
Osiris, I'm just here, like I was saying in my introduction, just to spread more peace, love, understanding, and contentment everywhere I go, like I always do. And we will do that further here, repping Texas. Oh, yeah, Osiris. Actually, Osiris, you'd like Grow the Farm Up. The two of you are about the same age, about like quite a few parallels actually, but yeah, Grow the Farm Up, great channel to check out for regenerative agriculture, and a certain devilishly handsome outlaw has been doing a little editing for him lately. I don't know who that would be, but Grow the Farm Up says, let's merge Nebraska and Texas. We'll just absorb Oklahoma and shitty Kansas. Yes.
Yeah, we can do it. Yeah, I'm down for that actually. You know, because Oklahoma's really just a reservation, so they could stay the reservation. And
There you
Kansas, they're
It's just Nebraska's field to the south.
yeah. Only thing it's known for is a tornado that swept up some little girl. Who cares?
Well, let's be frank. Kansas is basically just Nebraska's wheat field because Nebraska doesn't want to plant wheat.
Ooh, okay. Sounds like some farmer interpersonal drama. I don't know about.
Oh yeah,
It
like
goes. Yeah.
basically, if you ask any Kansan, they'll say fuck people from Nebraska and fuck people from Missouri. And if you ask any Nebraskan, they'll just say fuck people from Kansas. And if you ask any Missourian, they'll say fuck people from Kansas. So
If
these
you ask any
Kansas folk tend to be.
Missouri's going to be like Bethel.
Yes,
Well,
Texas.
there's that
They're
too.
gonna say fuck the United States, Texas.
Yeah.
Well-
U.S. what? U.S. and Texas.
Exactly.
Like Texas is one of
What do you even
three
call
states that you
Texas or Texbraska?
Oh, that's
Well, okay. It was originally the Nebraska territory, but honestly, now as a Nebraska boy, this pains me. But if you look at the old maps, the Republic of Texas actually used to cover about 80% of the Nebraska territory, all the way up to Kansas, Texas. And so if we were going to do it again, it would basically just be readopting the old Republic of Texas. And I know a Texan just loves hearing that. And so it's like, yeah, but yeah, like me as a Nebraska boy, it's like when there was talk of, I was on a panel where they were talking about, let's redraw the state lines. It's like, okay. But if you're just doing this to hold up, don't touch my Texas, Alyssa. Yeah, Tony, apparently hazard analysis just has a tremendous pull in Texas. Like folks in Texas love our show. They can't get enough of us because we're Nebraska boys that admit that our football probably isn't as good as Texas.
Well, to be fair, Texas has 11 college football teams, so
and that's just the big ones. There's probably 300.
Exactly.
Probably 300 college football teams.
I was just saying, the 11 major FBS college teams. I don't know how many in the FCS level. I'm sure 30.
And we dump an inordinate amount of money into college football too.
Grow the Farm Up. Texas has huge landmass, but most importantly, massive export seaports. Texas is technically its own republic. It's one of 3 states that you could almost make the argument you should almost need a passport to go there: Texas, California, New York. They're just their own animals, however you want to look at them. It's like their own tiny little nation.
The way I understand it, those 3 states carry the financial burden of the United States, pretty much.
I could believe that. Well, how many? It's okay, 300 million people in the country, and of those three states, probably over 100 million people, between those 3 states alone. And so there's a few of them.
Yes, sir.
Well, Alesto's coming in hot. How about Texas just takes over your state, Grow the Farm Up? Now, hold on. You just calm down with that talk now. We bring a lot to the table here, Alesto. Nebraska's got a lot to offer. And you know what? Matter of fact, this is kind of recent news, and we touched on it a little bit here on Friday over at the Dog and Chicken Show, but it does bear repeating because this is a big one. Nebraska does have something else to brag about. Nebraska legislature passes permitless concealed carry bill. This is pretty
Yes.
big.
Constitutional carry. Basically, if
27
you're
state
legal,
to get
20,
to that point?
26 or 27, depending on how you want to look at it, because North Dakota has constitutional carry for its residents, but if you're from out of state, you need a concealed carry permit. So they're like 90% of the way there, but so some consider it 26, some consider it 27, but we are now officially, no matter how you want to boil it, in a total majority of states are in constitutional carry. Now, your state just recently changed its carry laws. I don't know if you're full on constitutional carry in Texas yet, Osiris, but like I'll look up the constitutional carry map here in a second. But what is your thoughts in general over a majority of our states now not needing a permit to carry a concealed or otherwise weapon?
I would say I would lean on that's a good part, because I don't feel like the people if you look at the statistics of who legally owns guns, I don't feel like those people who are legally owning guns are usually the ones who are doing crimes out in public.
Agreed.
So whatever, I don't think that this changes much, except for that now there's less hoops to jump through for the people who are legally buying guns.
Right.
The biggest thing for me about guns is how do you get the guns out of hands of criminals? And typically these criminals are people who were criminals before they had the guns, which that's the real problem in the United States. I could care less about gun laws in the regard of maybe we should make them easier but more effective. I think that we should know who has guns in the United States. We should know that, and that's it. If you buy one, just let Uncle Sam know, and that's it.
Now this is something I think you and I are going to have a little bit of a disagreement on here. Osiris is one of the points of our revolution and one of the sticking points of our revolution. One of the reasons we have a Second Amendment is it is yours, mine, or anybody else's right, and it's nobody else's business but our own. If you happen to own guns, how many, what kind, or even where they are, it's nobody else's business but your own. And that's kind of the point, is the government doesn't get to or have to know where all the guns are, and that is what makes the security of a free state so possible with our glorious Second Amendment. So to me, this constitutional carry is just us finally, because like to me, I always found it kind of grating that when you have to get a permit to carry a weapon, that's sort of you going to, oh, please, master, please return to me just a little bit of what you've stolen from me. And so we're finally respecting the Second Amendment in my state. So that's what I enjoy.
The big thing I think important about this is like a state like Nebraska with a low population, and let's be frank, a lot of gun owners out there. This opens the door. Not just for people to save $100 a year, to not have to renew a permit for $100, but the people that were carrying already without a permit, and there's a lot of them, I guarantee you. All this does is prevent them from breaking a law. So that's why this is a great thing. Because before you had people who did not have a concealed carry permit carrying anyway. This prevents punishing someone for doing something that really should not have been punishable in the first place. So I think that's the big important thing to think about here. In a state like Nebraska, it makes sense. Now, you get into a higher, more sparsely, densely populated shit show like California, say, maybe it's not such a great idea. I don't know, maybe mental health, maybe because wackadoos. I'm not going to, disparage the great people of California by any means. I'm just saying that we're better.
I mean, obviously Nebraska is a better state.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give you that.
I would say to you, Phil, about what you just said, that I'm sympathetic to that argument. Definitely. And in a perfect world, that's how it would be. But you're gonna have to do it. But I think there's background checks you can't get rid of. You have to know the person who's buying the gun, and once the government does that, they're automatically cataloging you anyways. Let's be frank.
Well, I mean, in a lot of states, private sales are totally legal. Not to be considered as actual legal advice, but in a lot of states, you can actually sell a gun completely private, just on a handshake, and that's it. And so whether we like it or not,
which doesn't make sense, by the way.
There's 400 million guns in circulation in this country already. And we know probably where about 250 million are, roughly, kind of a fuzzy idea where they are. The rest of them are just in old Aunt Nellie's closet and are in your underneath the seat of your old Uncle Unky Fratz's pickup truck, and they're just fucking everywhere. And like I've said, if you wanted to make it as draconian as you could possibly imagine, the punishment is immediate execution upon being found with a gun. Still take at least 150 years to purge guns from American life. So it's like when people talk about gun bans or even registration, to me, that's not real. You're not being realistic at that point. Like it's a pie in the sky solution of we're going to register the guns. We got to.
I think we had this conversation. Maybe with somebody else, but this goes to the conversation I had before when we were talking. Yeah, you did tell me that before, and I think basically my response to that is, yeah, you're 100% right on that. But more to the point is, most of the people who are talking about gun control, overwhelming majority, are people who come from cities. The cities of the United States and the rural areas and the suburbs of the United States have a totally different gun problem.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say a gun problem, gun situation. And
mentality.
Yeah. And I think that we should deal with cities in very different ways than we deal with rural areas. There's no reason why most of the states like Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, the Carolinas, Tennessee, like most of these states are one city states or two city states, like meaning that the entire state's ruled but this one place. Mm-hmm. And instead of having things that cover a blanket part of the United States, why don't we look at the microcosms of the United States and where it matters? Like let's say Atlanta, what's the city? Memphis, Atlanta,
Tennessee,
Miami, all these places where you got high concentrations of poverty and crime, and deal with that in a very different way than Jimmy Joe Bob that lives 300 miles from any civilization and doesn't give a fuck about none of that shit. Why would we need to punish him for what's going on in the city that he'd never even been to before?
Exactly.
Now, it's kind of a fascinating juxtaposition you talk about there, because hopefully he comes on a little later. I sent him an invite. He's getting stuff straightened out at home. But Lethe Waterkai, we had a in-depth discussion about this, and it was like a penny kind of dropped in my mind about the big difference, because he explained, like, for you, Phil, in the rural areas, like, it sounds like to some extent, it's like guns are kind of like a form of male jewelry. Like, this was my grandpappy's shotgun, and it was passed down to my dad and then to me. And it's like, and this has a lot of sentimental meaning to me, and this is what I use it for, to go goose hunting or whatever. Meanwhile, in the city, he talked about anytime he saw a gun, usually he lost a friend over it. And so it's a very different mentality as to the minute you even see a gun. And so that's a urban rural divide that, like, the gun issue so perfectly crystallizes and encapsulates the urban rural divide in our politics and in our living in this country. Like, I don't think if you wanted to point to one issue, gun issue, there you go. That most perfectly just encapsulates what is our issue.
That really is at the top of the pyramid of what differentiates rural and urban. It's not even growth farm up. Urban and rural are basically two different countries. I take your point, Oz. Yeah, and that's well put, because you can't even dictate it by geography, because it's so mixed and matched. It's a grab bag. That's what this country is, and that's what makes the country great, is so many different cultures mixed into one. And that's the original concept of the United States. Every state is essentially its own country, but we do all share a lot of the same tendencies. It's just very, very different culture wise. And even amongst those states, city to city, town to town, it doesn't even look like the same thing. So you're right. How do you punish or dictate to someone living in the country who's 20 minutes away from real society versus people who it takes an hour to drive 10 blocks to their job every day because of the population? So it's not the same thing. You can't dictate the same rules, yet you have to. That is probably one of the biggest challenges and the reason we have such a divide in this country, because the day-to-day living situation and experience varies so differently, town to town, state to state, coast to coast. It's not even the same thing once you go 24 hours in either direction. Just on a drive, you will see greatly disparaging differences state to state, town to town. So it is a very questionable thing to make everybody follow the same set of rules, yet at the same time you have to.
Now, I'm kind of curious. Now, Osiris, I don't know if you followed the same spicy meme circles that I did back after the 2016 election, but I remember sharing this with a bunch of people and being like kind of a snotty little shit about it because, it was a fun time. It was a glorious time in the memery. But there was these two maps, and one said Trump land, and it was all of America, but a few little dots, and it was all red, glorious red state America. And then the next map was the Clinton archipelago, and it's all these little blue dots kind of sprinkled throughout the entire country and a little bit in California. And it was all the counties that voted blue. And it is if you were to just look at it just from that, it looks like this tiny little string of islands. And that's literally like the Clinton Biden archipelago wants to govern themselves in one way, and red state America, God's country, Trump land wants to govern themselves in another way. And the problem is the way they want to govern each other is starting to get further and further and further apart.
Well, if you want to see that in real time, just look up Earth at nighttime and look at the light that's dispersion. That's pretty much Dems versus or liberals versus conservatives.
Well,
people who can see the stars.
That's all CGI, man.
No,
we live on flat Earth. That's all fake movie production stuff. We've never been to space, man. Come on, we live under a dome.
Yeah.
Now, Osiris, this is going to sound like kind of because, like, if I'm going to guess, you've usually lived in major metropolitan areas for at least a good majority of your life. Am I correct?
Yeah, or something. That
at least more than 5,000 people.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Here, like being from Nebraska, Tony and I, when we were in 4th grade, were educated that if you can find the Big Dipper, then that'll point you to the Little Dipper, and the handle of the Little Dipper literally points to the North Star. So from 4th grade, Tony and I have been able to navigate by the stars since we were little kids. And it's when I go to the big cities, I can't see the stars anymore. And that's something that just like really throws me off. And that's another one of like the big urban rural divide. Like if you can see the stars, you're 90% more likely to vote Republican, I think.
That's probably true. That's probably true. But also like it depends what you would consider city folks, right? I live in a city of 150,000 people. It's basically a college town.
Here in Nebraska, that would be fucking massive. That'd be
I can drive 20 minutes and get to a zero light area where I can actually see the entire Milky Way. So and then if you do like, I don't know about how the culture is in your area, but in Texas, people travel everywhere because you have people in other parts of the city, other states. Yep. You're traveling everywhere.
In the Midwest, you're tied to your car to get anywhere.
Most of the Texas highways out here are pitch black. There's no street lights. There's no nothing. There might be a deer. It might be a wandering cow. Who the fuck knows is out there?
Beautiful. Now, somebody with an entirely different life experience coming in, making his way to the ring, coming all the way from the West Coast himself, the one, the only, Lethe Water, fucking Kai. Welcome to the show, sir. Now,
what's up, y'all?
We're actually talking about being able to see the stars from our house. If you were to step outside and look up, would you be able to see the stars, sir?
Not right now, no.
Okay. Well, actually, okay, what is the sun still out?
No.
Okay.
It's about dusk right now. If it had rained, I would say we could see some stars, but not tonight.
Okay.
Too much overcast.
Okay. Because Tony and I were joking, like, I think we figured it out. If you can see the stars all the time from out your front door, you're 90% more likely to vote Republican.
I was going to say you're more than likely not in the Matrix, but yeah, that works too.
Fuck, I'll take that shit, man. Like,
well, hey, That'd be great. That'd
Those
be very
bolt things look
reassuring.
painful. Like,
If I'm living in the fucking Matrix and I can't like hit the Powerball, like come on, Matrix, like throw me a bone here. I buy a ticket every week.
Well, part
That's
of being in the
about-
Matrix is making sure humans are miserable. So there's that.
Yeah,
No,
because
that-
if we're not
that's
miserable, we
real.
think we already know it's not real, so we just off ourselves.
Well, there's a lot of that going on.
it's like, come on, Matrix. If this is the Matrix, there's no reason to give me a migraine the other day. What the fuck?
Yeah, that was
No?
completely
Like that wasn't.
unnecessary.
I refuse to believe some fucker programmed that shit. What the fuck? Like, yeah, this,
Yeah.
like to. But like, I always like the joke of like, if you need any more proof that we're living in the simulation, here's another one. But
Yeah.
but so we were. Lethe, I actually brought you up just a little bit ago. I'm glad that you came by because we're talking about the big urban-rural divides in this country, and one of them, like one that you actually kind of helped me gain a greater understanding of, is the gun issue. And when you talked about like, well, Phil, for me, every time a gun came out, usually something bad happened. For y'all, it's like, hey, this is my grandpappy shotgun. It was handed down to me from, my father before him and his father's before him. And so it's got a totally different connotation here. And so it's a difference in mentalities. And then we were talking about just all the differences. And it's basically the Clinton archipelago versus Trump land. If you've ever seen those two maps, I'm sure somebody sent you those two memes around 2016. And it's like, how do we get it so those two areas can just kind of govern themselves as they see fit? And that's I don't know how we get there, folks, because we're getting a little further along.
3 things. So
Ooh.
I am a person who has experienced firearms in the area I'm in. The youngest person I've had pull up their shirt to show me a 9 in their waistband is 13 years old. They were no more than 4 feet away from me. I've been robbed at gunpoint at least 3 times, once in a veterinarian's office. So in knowing this, like, I don't appreciate guns very much. If any of the people in the room had a gun, I'd have got shot by one of them. Just being real. If everybody pulled out heat in the veterinarian's office, I probably would have caught a hot one. So that's just how that rolls. And then I had wanted to ask you last time we spoke, but something happened and we trailed off, about the girl that was shot backing into the driveway and trying to move on.
I'm not familiar with the case, but like, I'm
So,
not happy
you
that
know-
someone got shot from somebody's negligence or someone's rage or somebody's murderous intent. But I always have to point the question to when someone freaks out, blows a fuse, goes evil, breaks bad, and decides to go murderous like that, what can possibly stop them other than another armed individual?
Well, in this case, it was in a rural area, and that's why I was so interested. It was in upstate New York. So it was kind of a backwoods kind of area. So that's why I was wondering, because this should be one of the individuals that should be using that weapon for pest control, shooting possums and stuff like that, not shooting people to back into his driveway. So I just assumed that this is where the disconnect meets itself.
Well,
Yeah.
can I speak to that real quick? I would say, but you're pulling one rabbit out of the hat, but I think we need to look at the litter. And meaning that, this dumbass probably shot somebody out of rage or some type of illness, or he's just stupid. Who knows? He had a bad day. He woke up on the wrong side and somebody pissed in his fucking Cheerios. But we have to get, before you got here, we were talking about the difference between the rural and the metro areas. What we have to find out would be the information that we need the most is how much does that happen in a rural area? How many times are people actually getting shot? Who knows? There might be a whole shit ton of people getting shot, and then they're just not reporting it. I don't fucking know. I doubt that's the case.
I would think it's rare.
What's that?
I would think it's pretty rare. It would be personal more than likely if somebody gets shot out there versus like the random nonsense we get out here, because we don't have any connection to each other in the cities. It's mostly just stay out of my way so I can go about my day. Kind of.
Yeah, that sounds more to me like somebody with a prior relationship that probably went sideways for whatever reason, and they found the opportunity or they found the wrong circuit and it got shorted, and they chose violence of the worst possible kind in that moment.
Yeah, this person was like, they were trying to reverse and go the other direction, so they pulled into this person's driveway and then tried to pull out and leave. This dude came out already locked, loaded, and ready to go and started dumping on the vehicle.
Yeah, and if they didn't have a prior, relationship, I would assume that this is someone who's yeah, dealing with a ton of stress and whatever it was just pushed him over the edge in that moment. But that, the topic was brought up to get the ball rolling here on Nebraska passed open carry. This is an instance of somebody being inside their home, I assume, when this happened, seeing somebody out on their property, technically kind of their driveway. But you see that all the time around here, people backing up and turning around out of a driveway. It's not that big of a deal. It happens. It's not something that anybody should get shot over ever. But you're also talking about somebody coming out of their home. Now, if they have a gun in their home, there's not really anything you can do about that when it comes to carrying because it's on their property. And I don't think anybody's going to make an argument that, oh, yeah, absolutely. As soon as somebody uses your driveway as a U-turn, you absolutely have a right to defend your home. No, give me a break. Anybody wants to make that argument, you're just pointing all the fingers back at yourself because, frankly, that's ridiculous. There's no reason that should happen. I'm either A, assuming that person was going postal no matter what happened that day, something was going to set him off, or B, there was some prior relationship that went sideways.
Yeah, there was absolutely no relationship. This dude just came out and was looking for someone to shoot, I guess.
Yeah.
Nobody been on his property in months and he'd gone stir crazy. Who knows?
Yeah.
There actually was years ago when I was like 7. We were driving by down this one gravel road one time, and I'd heard about this story, and my mom had told me it, and I thought it was just kind of a wives' tale or something. But then other people in the county, it corroborated this story that there used to be this old timer whose house is just a little off the interstate not too long ago, and he wouldn't shoot people, but like he would literally like wing one over your head or give you warning shots if you came onto his property back in the 70s and 80s. And he's one of them, keep off my property tabs. And so he was we probably they tore his house down decades ago, but we probably driven by there at least 20 times since. And it's just one of those weird little wives. So there are some folks out there that are just so isolated that they would prefer to stay isolated. Now, this particular case, I don't know all of the particulars of it, and I don't know all the details. But like I said, when somebody blows a fuse, somebody wants to inflict evil on others, you have to be able and ready and willing to meet that kind of force with like kind force. Otherwise,
here's an interesting.
Thou shalt be a victim.
I just was just perusing the interwebs, and turns out that gun death dispersion across the United States is very interesting. First of all, the South has the highest amount of gun deaths.
Now, is this per capita or just in raw numbers?
Yes, okay. Per capita.
Because when you get into the raw numbers, it's suddenly...
Yeah, of course. Per capita, Republican states have more gun deaths, and then the South has way more gun deaths than any place. And it's mostly concentrated in what they call the New France, which is basically the Louisiana area.
I was about to say, is it Louisiana? Tell me it's not Louisiana.
Louisiana. New Orleans has been the gun death capital of the United States for like decades almost now, or at least up there in the top 3.
It's also allegedly, winky face, been one of the major heroin import ports in the Western Hemisphere.
They're not doing their freaking job. They're not doing their damn job. We have too much fentanyl, not enough heroin.
Gotta balance that out. There's a happy medium. The quota's not being met.
Come on, New Orleans, kick it up. Yeah. Texas is fucking kicking your ass here, okay? Like, grow the farm. Okay, I looked it up in upstate New York. A lot of properties have long self-maintained drives that drove all the way in. They did not know each other. This is about all the facts I could find. Okay. So there's always a little more to be, and that's why, it's a jury of your peers and such. But like in a lot of self-defense cases, people always say it's better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6, and that means it's better to meet a jury of your peers than to be carried by 6 pallbearers.
I would like to get to a point where I can challenge someone to a duel in all honor of it all, and then use a pistol. At least everybody's ready for this altercation. That I would prefer that be the case, but you're not going to get your preference in this instance.
I was about to say, wow, very Jacksonian. I
think it should be legal for people to agree to a duel. I agree with this.
It should be.
Guns, at least let us use this the way we want to, all right?
Oh God
I
Almighty!
mean, they can pick a
Do you
different weapon.
consent? Do you consent? Duel.
Yes.
There
Choose
are
your weapon.
mutual
I
combat
choose
laws.
a super soaker.
I choose this big old 90-pound hammer. You also have to use a 90-pound hammer. Let's see how this works out.
I bet you people learn how to use guns a lot better too if we had to duel
Yeah.
somebody. They'd be
as
practicing like a motherfucker.
especially as ignorant as people get in fast food places. Like, yo, homie, I'm challenging you to a duel. You're supposed to be taking my order. No, you disrespected me.
Actually, no shit. The most accurate dueling movie ever made. Harvey Keitel, when he was a young guy, he was in a movie called The Duelist about these two French officers who fucking hated each other, and they challenged each other to 3 different duels over many, many years, and somehow they managed to never kill each other in any of them. And Brennan, hey, where's Ty? Oh, that's a long.
I'm gonna step away for a moment.
Yeah, and like suddenly Letha starts like, well, good night. And then just bam,
dick.
gone. What's
Brennan,
that?
Brennan's a dick.
Yeah,
Well,
thanks, Brennan.
technically-
Thanks, Brennan.
Bill's a dick, but come
Salt
on.
in the
No,
wound. Salt in the
no,
wound,
I
little
mean-
bit of lemon.
Oh, and I'm just gonna say, Lethe, last night when he was on that, when you were on, hang on, when you were on that panel with him, Ty actually told a bald-faced lie about me. He said that I claimed that within the leak, I said that there was troops fighting. That was never what I said. He had to make that lie to make his position seem a little better than it was. So, just letting you know, that was a bald-faced lie he told you to your face. But Bandit, so long as it's not Hamiltonian, like. No, I like the play Hamilton, but
Speaking
so
of
long as
duels,
it's
yeah.
you know
You want guns, swords, 90-pound hammers, Phil? How you guys gonna hammer that?
90-pound, like no, we can just meet in a charity MMA match, just
I
MMA cage.
sincerely doubt that because I'm down to throw down and I'm not Republican. I choose violence. Let's go.
All proceeds donated.
As long
to
as it's
charity.
consensual, damn it.
Yes.
It's sensual. But yeah, like and between the 3 duels, one of them was with rapiers.
Ooh.
One was with sabers, and then one was they went into the woods, and both of them had 2 pistols. So you had 2 shots. Yeah,
Wait, how did they not die from the first 2?
That's what I'm
Yeah,
wondering.
right?
I don't fucking like one of them, like the sabers ones, they were on horses, and one got whacked in the head really hard and knocked out really hard, and so guy considered it a win there. And then the first one, I forget how that one didn't end, but yeah, over decades, these 2 kept dueling each other, and somehow neither of them died. And so it's Harvey Keitel's older movie, The Duelist. So if you really want to, and
How do you get called the duelist and suck at it that bad for 10 years?
Gonna say Andrew Jackson was good at it. Very good.
Andrew was, he got shot one time. Took him a few minutes to stand back up. He's like, fucker, bam. Now, how much does that have to suck when you think, he's down? And then you see that son of a bitch stand up and you got to stand there and take it. Like,
no.
like,
You hear the final boss music and you see him glowing red. And it's like, oh shit, no.
Like, I'll be honest, like, if that was me and I saw Andrew Jackson standing up and shit, I would totally pull the bitch move, throw my gun down. You win! Just run off. Like, no, you can call me.
I'm gonna run at him in a zigzag line, and I'm gonna beat him with the butt of the gun. Like, no, I'm sorry, I'm not standing there taking that shit.
I was about to say, just run up and whack him with the gun. Stay the fuck down.
He's not gonna be able to, like, with a gunshot wound. He's not gonna be able to track you. You get up pretty close.
I mean, it does, like, I've even explained this to my kiddo one time. It's like, I don't care if you have Hannah Montana in there with Chuck Liddell. If you shoot him once with a .22 pistol, suddenly Hannah Montana's got really good fucking chance here. Okay, like it doesn't matter.
I bet
like,
on Chuck, but that's just me.
I don't know.
Depends where the wound is.
Yes, spoken like people who've never been shot before. Like, yeah, Chuck still got this shit. Like, no, he'd be like, oh, this bullshit. Call my mama. Like, we just shot you in your kneecap, Chuck. I don't give a fuck. Like, yeah, that, you don't know what could happen there. So, yeah, like when you get to that point, you're right. Yeah, you got way better chance of just hammering Andrew Jackson down. But Yeah, I would have probably just said, fuck it. Call me Sir Phil the bitch. I don't care. I'm running off. Like that.
You're betting on pure adrenaline right there. Which way is that adrenaline going to flow?
Yep.
No, Phil has not been shot.
I was about to say, no, I said, talking as a bunch of us who haven't been shot before, like, yeah, I haven't been
only
like,
once. Only once.
Only once. Okay.
Right.
Damn. Okay. What caliber? I got to ask.
Guessing it was a 9, but I only got grades.
That's enough.
Okay.
That's plenty. Fuck
But
that.
I kind of deserved it. I'm not going to say I didn't deserve it. I took an M100 and flushed it down his toilet.
Oh,
Wait, didn't he shot you? What?
He tried to shoot
I'm
me.
gonna say that's still an overreaction.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Maybe a good uppercut or two.
Yeah,
I was
that's
already
warranted.
I was halfway down the lot and I heard the click clack, and then my adrenaline kicked in and I booked it straight for the gate. By the time I had hit the gate, I felt the heat on my leg.
Oh.
And was like, oh no.
Oh.
Get over this fence. Get over this fence.
Dude fired 4 shots and almost caught me with one all the way.
Oh.
Whatever's left of this leg, don't fail me now.
Yeah, no shit.
Jesus.
I didn't feel anything until probably about 20 minutes later. I'm like, oh my God, that burns.
So yeah, so Tony, you can see why some folks in the more metropolitan areas might have a slightly different attitude.
Nope. Yeah, totally different cultures, folks.
I think that dude was like 16 or 17.
Oh, shit.
Wait, and he was that mad about a toilet?
He had poor
Yeah.
marksmanship. I mean, that's true. I mean, let's be frank. I mean, and grow the farm up. Damn, bro. But yeah, like,
who's taking that kind of smoke off a 13-year-old at 17? No.
Yeah.
I was about to say, like, that's some serious, like, well, dear diary, I got shot at
shit.
today. Like, yeah, that's one of those, like, if you ever seen the movie Inside Out, you made a core memory today.
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah, that's not going anywhere. Trust.
Yeah, that one's right in there
It's
in the wall.
bank.
I think that's a very that kind of situation sounds like a very metro city area thing. Like that doesn't happen even in the average size cities. I think that's a very LA thing. You were in LA, right?
I was in Compton, and he was like pretty gang related. And so they would go around the neighborhood punking anybody who's not in the gang to kind of like get you in the mindset that when you were finally ready to get in the gang, these people are going to be the ones protecting you. So homie decided to stick a stick in my spokes and made me flip over my handlebars and face plant. So
I thought stick his dick in his spokes. I was like, what?
No. I wish I would have put his dick in the spokes, knowing what I know now. But so I talked his sister into letting me in the back door and put M100 in his toilet just to get some vengeance, thinking, okay, we'll call it even now. Because I don't let anybody punk me. Like, I know I can't win in a fight, but I can make you have a bad day. And he was going to make my day worse.
Yeah, there's no such thing as vengeance in the hood. It doesn't work like that.
Seems to just be a never-ending escalation.
I've had a lot of those.
People with nothing to do and in pretty bad poverty, yeah, they can think of lots of ways to make your day worse. Damn. And especially kids with nothing to do. I mean, because
kids in a house with no parents because they're all at work or in jail. Yeah.
At least maybe you'll agree with this. I think the perpetual cycle of things going wrong in the inner cities is the kids, because once you hit 30 years old, you're either in jail or dead, or you're like, I can't do this no more. So I think it's the kids. The kids just got nothing better to fucking do with their lives.
I've met some aging OGs living in their mom's house at 30, talking about, hey, little homie, go get me a beer. And I'm laughing in his face.
Fuck no.
Yeah.
Now, gentlemen, I have to let you know that we have another entrance into the hazard analysis arena, making his hazard analysis debut after a long absence from these shining shores. We have the return of Tom Foolery. Tom Foolery, there we go. That was amazing. As folks, A+ production. Folks, Tom, welcome to Hazard Analysis, the newest, greatest, most spectacularist, most hazardous show in all analysis. How are we doing, sir?
Doing well. What are we talking about?
the urban-rural divide in this nation, and how the gun issue is kind of the crystallization of it, but there's so many other ways of looking at it. And then we started talking about how in the the urban areas, in the metropolitan areas, when you've got extreme poverty and people without much to do, suddenly people get kind of creative on how to fuck with each other's days.
The triple commie true.
Yes. I mean, like, now, Osiris, I don't know if you know this, but tomfoolery, we decided this many years ago, is not only a triple commie, but also a quadruple Marxist. We just wanted to make sure that it's all everything's
not even double down, triple and quadruple down.
You gotta. You should also know they also call me Nebraska Tom now as well. So
who calls you that?
The other day, Destiny was watching my show on his stream and kept saying, "I love this guy. He reminds me of Nebraska. Just look at him. He just looks like Nebraska."
Oh, I saw that clip.
Now,
I agree with it.
Now everybody keeps calling me Nebraska Tom. I'm like, what does that even mean? What does that mean?
I'm wondering that myself, Tom.
That's because it stems from Nebraska, Steve.
I lived in
back
Atlanta and Nebraska. Like, how does that happen?
Well, it stems from Nebraska, Steve, and that's back when Destiny used to argue like a madman, and that's kind of the meme there.
So he's saying I argue like a madman, I guess is the meme.
Yeah, I don't know where.
I mean, if that's just a comparison because of like Phil, because Phil lives in Nebraska. Like, not all Nebraskans are that argumentative. I swear, Phil's not a representative of all of us. Jesus.
Well, no, the Nebraska part is just where he's from. The and then you add the name because you're a pro debater. Or a master debater.
I've been to Nebraska. You ain't Nebraska.
Master debater.
Man. Like Nebraska. I was about to say we're from Nebraska, and we're kind of curious about that ourselves.
I want to know what it is. Like, I'm curious what.
It's a long drive down the lore road of Destiny, and I don't know if it's worth it, to be honest.
Next time I talk to him, that will be the first question I ask him. Trust me. It's like, so what the hell, Nebraska, huh?
Because you were wearing those glasses too at that time, and you did look like a young college Nebraskan.
I was wearing a hat with like deer horns on it and stuff. So yeah, I did look a little country. Yeah.
Classic.
There it is. All right.
Little bit country.
There we go.
Bit rock and roll.
Wait, you weren't doing your Tommy gimmick that night, were you, Tom?
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. We haven't seen Tommy in a while.
I have no idea who that is.
Yeah. Good old Tommy. Yeah. Did you have
Hitman gun? Oh, I love the Hitman look. It's my favorite. We're talking Lincoln, Nebraska, or like Waco, Nebraska? Because that's a good question, man.
Is there a Waco, Nebraska?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Population of about maybe
Waco
like
friendly people up there.
Maybe about like 800 people. Like it's not.
It's a blip on the map.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's a pass.
It's a gas station truck stop.
Yeah. It's a drive-by city. You just gas station. Never have a reason to turn off that exit. Here we go.
I mean, is there a Waffle House?
Oh, there's not a Waffle House in the state of Nebraska. None.
What?
Then why is it still in Nebraska?
We got IHOP.
IHOP.
And then we've got like at the Petros, we've got their iron skillets that are open 24/7.
We do have Huddle House now. There's a few of those popping up.
Okay. All right.
You don't know what you're
we
missing.
Still got Village Inn.
You don't know what you're
somewhere.
missing. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go to worldstar.com and look at all the things that happen at a Waffle House after 12 o'clock.
Dude, I saw this little tiny white chick just block and reverse a chair that got hucked at her and proceed to go to war.
She jumped. The girl jumped on the counter. She knocked her off the counter. It was like a Mike Tyson's punch out. It was great.
Waffle House employees are built different. Understand?
Wait, hold on. What's this? Ursama, I need you guys to help me convince Tom to do a ghost hunting.
Oh,
please no.
Yes.
You've come to the right place.
Not happening.
Now, okay.
True story.
Tony has a ghost hunting team, has for years, and 2020 everybody fucking canceled on it except for 2 other people. And so I'm like, okay, I gotta see this shit. So I go with Tony on the fucking ghost hunting thing. And it is like, what was hilarious is there's one guy, I called him Egon, because he had all the little doodads and all the gadgets that he's going to catch the ghost with. And then there was one girl
Not how it works.
who saw ghosts everywhere. If you told her there was a ghost in this room, she's like, and you said the ghost will like touch your shoulder a little bit. It's like, oh my God, the ghost is touching my shoulder. And like, so it was one of the most fun times I had in years. So like, if you go in with an open mind and just kind of like a little bit of a snide grin into it, you're going to have a great fucking time going on a ghost.
Quick question. At the zenith of this, how many black people were on these excursions?
You know what you like, kind of like Joe Rogan said about when you go hunting for Bigfoot. You know what you don't find when you go on a ghost hunt? Black people. You're more likely to find a fucking ghost than you are to find a black person hunting for a fucking ghost. Okay.
That is true.
Set and match.
I mean, if
like,
you watch any of the bullshit reality TV shows about ghost hunting, there is a very specific demographic that takes up 99.99% of
Let me tell you why.
We'll
Let me
watch
tell
it.
you
You
why,
ain't
though.
going.
Let me tell you why you're not going to find them black people. Not that black people don't believe in ghosts, because trust me, you talk to enough black people.
That's why you don't see them.
My
'Cause you
grandma
might
seen a
find
ghost.
one.
I seen a ghost. I don't know what the fuck you talking about, but it's just they know they know what not to fuck with, and ghosts is one of the things they're not fucking with. Not at all. They'd rather go hang out in Compton than go looking for ghosts. Trust me.
Did you guys
Up.
hear the news? Hunter Biden is completely innocent of everything. Did you guys hear
Oh,
this?
fucking Tom with the segue.
Is that true?
Well done, Tom.
Completely
Tom
innocent
Foolery
all the
comes
way
in.
across the board. It's amazing, dude.
Whoops
But did they
in.
find Bigfoot
with a
on his
segue.
laptop? And by
All
Bigfoot,
right.
I mean his penis.
You know, at this point, like, you could tell me they found about anything on that laptop, and it'd be like, okay, well done.
The
Well
laptop
done.
from hell.
Yes. So,
The
Tom,
laptop never existed either.
God bless you with that amazing
Never were a
segue there.
laptop.
Okay, Daily Mail, X actings. Oh,
Oh,
well, sheesh, Tony.
I'm trying to get one. Sorry, Justin had him.
the
listed
FBI
real
is not
weird.
going to let
There
you
we
do this.
There it is. That's the one I like.
Yeah, the FBI. Tom was right. The CIA, the deep state, was trying to silence us from getting this story out, but
What is
we
this?
will persevere.
What is
X
this?
acting CIA director reveals he had 50 spies sign a letter saying Hunter Biden laptop scandal was Russian disinformation to help Joe, quote, win the presidential election. So,
Hey,
folks,
if Tom's gonna get the Illuminati triangle, I should probably have it instead.
why's that?
Just it doesn't seem fair not to see his face, whereas for me, nobody really noticed.
Okay.
There we go. All better.
There we go. Yep. Totally
You got to
enough.
make
There
sure
you
you
go.
can get those clicks.
If anybody wants dibs to be behind me, you just call it.
Yeah, no, Letha's like, no, I want the Illuminati triangle. Like, wow, okay, all right. But so, Tony G's ads.
Okay, yeah.
are-
Let's not get hung up for the belts, folks. Like what I search for in my spare time, that's my business. You should be so grateful that it was something so innocent as wrestling belts.
The best
I
thing
mean,
about
like,
the belts was
that
I saw
and
BMF
Tony,
on there. And
consider-
that's
I
Black
mean,
Mafia family.
Already just looking
Yeah.
at the screen, I know he takes good care of his beard. He likes wrestling belts, and he might be in need of insurance.
Wait, did you say Wrestling?
Wrestling?
Wrestling.
Oh,
Now,
okay,
Tony,
yeah,
I mean,
sorry.
considering I am the current tribal chief of the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, I mean, I don't know why you need to look at any other belt. So now the thing is, I want you to
Yeah,
keep
but I've
this
been
in
the
mind.
RXW champion since 2004, Phil. So
This is the Oxford English Dictionary, their verb definition for rig. manage or conduct something fraudulently so as to produce a result or situation that is advantageous to a particular person. Now, I want you to keep that before your mind as we go through this article. Now, Tony, for the rest of this, I'm going to let old 2020 vision over here get into the finers of this particular article.
Another word for rig would be Hunter Biden snub. Go ahead and continue.
Ah! Well done.
All right.
Well done.
We'll go quickly again. This is from Daily Mail. Retired CIA leader coordinated a letter from former intelligence chiefs claiming that Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation because he wanted to help Joe Biden's campaign. Mike Morrell told the House Judiciary Committee that he was asked by Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State, who at the time was a senior member of the Biden campaign, to help discredit the laptop reporting. Morrell was a former acting CIA director, serving for 2 months in 2011 and 4 months from 2012 to 2013. Retired from the CIA in September of 2013. The House Judiciary Committee, led by Jim Jordan, is currently investigating Hunter Biden's laptop as well as the Biden family businesses. Morrell recently conducted a transcribed interview with Jordan's team and was asked about the Biden campaign's response to said laptop. Now, if I ever get past the ads, if they're good Lord, this is painful.
You're not allowed.
The laptop. No, they're just going to blink at me like the neon signs in Vegas. The laptop had been left in a Delaware repair store, was touted by Rudy Giuliani, Donald Trump's lawyer, as providing evidence of supported corruption among the Biden family. Biden campaign said the efforts to publicize content of the laptop bore the hallmarks of a Russian disinformation campaign. The laptop included explicit photos of the troubled Hunter Biden naked, with prostitutes taking drugs, multiple emails and texts between the 53-year-old and his father. Now, we've seen all this. We've all seen the infamous pictures of him in the tub with the pipe and the hookers and him wearing the scarf and what looks like tighty-whitey diaper briefs. I don't know. It's very unsettling. But let's be frank, you know, most people have a lot of drugs and have access to a camera phone probably do the same thing. So that's not really why people are upset about him, is doing drugs and having hookers and being an all-around pile of shit. That's not why they're...
Boy, that's a lot of crack, though.
20
grams of crack is a lot of fucking crack.
It is a lot. It sounds like a lot. It does seem like a lot. It's his tie to
a lot of crack.
Sitting
Ask any
president of the United
crackhead.
States that kind of rubs people the wrong way here. And once you delve a little deeper into this, you see that there might be some business connections between his father when he was, oh yeah, that's right, been in politics for almost 50 fucking years. Very high sitting as of, the last 10 to 20 years. So that's kind of why people are upset. So I'll read some of the specifics me in that direction.
So
I just saw the dad from Family Matters. That was great.
So, all right, let's get us all back to beautiful vision there. All right.
Lost my triangle, damn it.
Oh, you lost. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
The Illuminati's not taking you anymore. Sorry about that, Lethe.
Let me ask
No
a question.
rings.
Can I ask a question about this real quick?
Rocket.
How's this? What is the difference between this being called rigged or this being called hardball politics? Because it's not. These types of things are not new to politics, and
Well,
we've accepted that in American. We've pretty much accepted that as something that they do.
Now, this is unique because we had people in our intelligence community, our intelligence agencies at this point actually injected themselves into our election to say something that these 50 intelligence officials signed a letter that they knew to not be true in order to try and secure a certain, and it's why I brought up the definition of rigged, and I'll read it again. Manager conducts something fraudulently so as to produce a result or situation that is advantageous to a particular person. Did the CIA do exactly that to produce a result or situation that is advantageous to a particular person, being Joseph R. Biden? Yes, absolutely. Like there's really no way to.
No, I was genuinely asking the question because I don't know. I don't really care about any of this, to be honest with you. I think it's wrong that anybody use the different arms of the government to sway elections. That's obviously unethical as fuck. But on the other hand, this seems like something I don't give a fuck about, and something that the United States government has been probably doing for a long time. I could be wrong, but it seems like I could probably go dig up a lot of cases where public officials were using other parts of the government to secure elections. It just seems like because it's in the news every day now people care. Which is, I guess, is
I
fair.
mean, like, man, you want to talk about two wrongs not making a right? Like,
No,
I mean,
it's not
yeah,
two wrongs not
because
making a right.
the deep state might have
No, that's
tried
not what I'm
to
saying.
do some tampering here. I'm sure we could find some tampering somewhere else, so that makes all better.
No,
right?
that's
Like,
not what I'm saying. I'm not saying two wrong. This is obviously wrong. What I'm saying is, out of all the bullshit that I have to move through in the political atmosphere, how much priority am I putting to this one?
you should put some pretty heavy priority if our intelligence agencies are willing to pick and choose who they're going to side with in elections. That's kind of scary, because then there's this extra layer beyond anything that the Constitution laid out, beyond the Electoral College, beyond the Supreme Court, this extra layer that nobody voted for, that nobody elected, that nobody even wants, and has apparently the ability to act with impunity.
Do you think that all of American politics has been rigged for, if not all American history, but most of American history?
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. That's where I'm coming from.
Yes.
This is why I mean, I'm not saying this is not wrong. I'm just like
I do.
I'm saying this is wrong as fuck. But from where I'm coming from, I'm like, this is business as usual. They be fucking us over for a long time. If you want to
grow the farm up, the CIA has picked every president since Kennedy. Anonymous.
I missed almost everything that Tony said when he was reading it. He was cutting in and out.
Yeah,
at least for me.
Refresh.
Yeah, had to refresh. But
I have no big.
So I don't know what all was read.
Basically, that article just gave a really quick summarization of what we've already been told. We've already
reread the first two paragraphs, T,
right,
because that was where the juice of it was.
Let me go back to the first two here. So, retired CIA leader coordinated a letter from former intelligence chiefs claiming that Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation because he wanted to help Joe Biden's presidential campaign. Mike Morrell told House Judiciary Committee that he was asked by Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State, who at the time was a senior member of the Biden campaign, to help discredit the laptop reporting. Morrell was a former acting CIA director, serving for 2 months in 2011 and 4 months from 2012 to 2013, and retired in September 2013. So,
And
basically,
this is.
What's that, Tom?
Morrell said this to who?
The House Judiciary Committee.
Okay, so he said this during the hearings, or during like their investigation.
Sounds like he said it during the hearings.
Let me verify.
Yeah, just read it again, T.
This actually had a link with that quote. The ex-deputy CIA director, who was one of 51 intelligence chiefs calling the laptop disinformation, is deposed by Republicans into his bid to discredit salacious reports about the president's son. Weaponization panel chair Jim Jordan is deposing a former CIA director in connection to the investigation into Hunter Biden. Ex-deputy CIA director Michael Morrell signed a letter in 2020 warning emails on Hunter's laptop had classic remarks of a Russian information operation. House Republicans feel the letter was a concerted effort to discredit damning information found on Hunter's laptop. So, powerful House subcommittee is seeking testimony from a former high-ranking intelligence official who warned that the emails had earmarks of Russian disinformation. Weaponization of the federal government panel, a subcommittee under House Judiciary, will depose Michael Morrell on Tuesday, a source told the Washington Examiner. And this article is from
3 days ago,
April 6th.
Yeah, so
this one that I clicked on from that.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so we've got former CIA director being said. Oh, no problem. But former CIA director saying, yeah, that letter that we signed saying it was all disinformation. Yeah, I did that because I wanted to help the Joe Biden campaign. So I'm curious, like, what if the FBI decides they want to help the Joe Biden campaign and start raiding the home of the main political opposition of Joe Biden in the next coming election. I mean, that would be like Banana Republic shit that we would never fucking do, right? I mean, that would just be unheard of if that were, oh, wait, we just did that a few months ago. And so, yeah, that's kind of where we're getting here. What happens when the major governmental panels, major alphabet soup agencies decide that they're going to help a certain presidential campaign? Do you have no problem with that at all?
Let me ask you this, Phil. What if a political opponent legitimately committed a crime? Now, I'm not talking about hiding his fucking paperwork in his house and doing dumb shit. Like a real crime. He did a crime. And it was 7 weeks before an election. That raises a lot of political flags, of course, because you don't want to be using the 3-letter agencies to investigate.
They committed a damageable, actionable crime that can actually be objectively verified and isn't some nonsense process crime or paper crime that's being made up in order just to try and interfere with an election, then yes, the chips should fall where they may. And I believe that in all instances, the chips should fall where they may, which is why I think they should totally, except for redacting the victims' names, completely release the Epstein list. Let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah.
Do you think the Benghazi was over investigated?
No. For
So then,
we should at least get to the bottom of that.
So, what do you think the Bill Clinton thing was over blown?
Which Clinton thing? The
getting the head in the Oval Office that wasn't really sex.
Yeah, I don't think that was.
Whoa. Okay. This is something that people kind of forget. Remember when Bill Clinton said, "I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky"? He was under oath.
That's why he had to redefine sex.
Well,
I understand.
He didn't.
No. When he was
innocent, he was just
his
there.
hands were.
Well, then why did the bar association disbar him for lying under oath? Because he was no longer.
He committed perjury. Yes. But
he committed a felony on film and still walked.
But the same way that
walked.
But you see the parallels here. The same thing that you're doing with Donald Trump, people are doing with him too, because he lied about getting his dick sucked. Nobody cares.
He committed perjury on film. Donald Trump has done no such thing.
Donald Trump says wild shit that makes no sense at all.
Nobody gave a fuck that he got head in the Oval Office.
Nobody gave a fuck, and I don't even give a fuck that he lied about it. Most people didn't care. The poll showed at the time most people didn't care either. And I think that first of all, throwing a lot of aimless bullshit at Donald Trump makes that if something actually does happen, you are killing any optics of actually making anything stick, because you've thrown so much shit at the guy. So this is the same thing I'm saying for him. This in the same way people didn't care about Bill Clinton, they shouldn't care about the minor things or the dumb things that he does, because these top secret documents, from what I understand, they should not be in the hands of anybody. For the most part, but lots of people have these documents all over the country because they're in some position to have them. It was an accident. They always say it was an accident. It was stacked in my paper. It happens all the fucking time. So it feels like Democrats are overblowing this in the same way that Republicans were overblowing that. That's what I'm saying. And I say, let retards be retards.
But just like most people didn't care, and I agree with you, most people didn't care. I don't like. With Hillary and the email issue, even though she got investigated, she still won the popular vote. And same deal with the Hunter Biden laptop scandal going on. He still won the popular vote. So
just real quick. I'm reading something from the House Judiciary Committee spokesman saying that Jim Jordan took a couple excerpts out of the transcription out of context and then put them together to make something very different that Blinken never actually said those things, and nobody
Drop
asked
your link in
him.
the private chat. We'll check it out.
This is from the actual committee spokesman.
Jim Jordan, is he the head of that committee?
I think so.
The minority head or whatever.
I know that I don't think it's Jim Jordan, but there is a Republican that's the head.
Yeah, weaponization panel chair.
Okay, this is the House Committee on the Judiciary Democrat ranking member Gerald Nadler. Oh my God, this is Nadler. This is Nadler saying
they
this
actually
is out of
showed it to-
context.
They actually showed the two side by side. Like they show the actual quotes right there from the transcription, and they show what it was that was put out.
Now, did he shit himself when he dropped this for all of us to see, or was he able to make it without having to waddle off stage? Y'all have seen that, right? When Jerry Nadler shit himself on stage and had to waddle off stage.
I'm so confused. Why is there? Why is it? Is this website specifically for Democrats?
Absolutely.
It's Jerry Nadler's website.
Yeah.
Why is it a .gov?
Yeah.
Because he's actually I forget, is he senator? No, he's a congressman.
So-
Because he is
what the
specifically a congressman, and he's on
That's
the House.
misleading a little bit, but
He's
all
on the House Oh well, yeah. Like that. Everybody's trying to make themselves look as official as possible, so everyone has to try and believe their bullshit. That's this weird, non-existent high ground everybody's trying to climb on, as everybody's trying to seem like they're more official than the other one. But it's sometimes the smallest, softest voice can carry the grandest and biggest solutions, folks. So, what's the Tony? Are you seeing any? What do you see?
Yeah, it even says right here, it says, in response to questions posed by Chairman Jordan's own lawyers, he testified that Blinken did not direct or suggest or insinuate in any way that he should write a letter about Hunter Biden's laptop. Nor did Mr. Blinken, then a private citizen, try to get at the letter indirectly. Mr. Morrell testified that Mr. Blinken did not hint that the Biden campaign could use some help on this, or suggest that Mr. Morrell should cook up something that the campaign should use. So this is in like the actual transcription from the.
Well, that's according to the spokesman.
Testimony.
No, that's according to the spokesman.
Correct. But this is the testimony right there.
So folks, you've got Jerry Nadler, Democrat extraordinaire, Daily Mail. You make your own decision as to who to trust there, folks. But no, Tom, thanks for bringing that.
I would trust the
Ultimately-
transcripts personally.
Yeah, it says it right there in the transcripts. That's what he said, but I don't know. It says question.
ultimately,
Okay,
this
it wasn't
comes down to whether or not anybody wants to accept or believe that there was intent to shelve an actual issue. So what we're talking about here is did Hunter Biden do something warranting an investigation into him? Now, obviously, that's happening.
Yeah, I would
Sort
say,
of.
yeah, of course.
Yeah. So
like
this should be
definitely.
investigated. Was it necessary to shelve that at the time that they shelved it? Because what we're looking at, and that's the problem here, is what people are saying, well, why didn't we look into it then? Why didn't we make a big deal about it then? Well, because it was on the heels of election season. Now, if we're going to sit here and pretend that they didn't just, let's just wait and hold off on that, because it would make his father look bad during a presidential election, we're just trying to fool ourselves.
Well, they
Let's be
generally don't
completely
do
frank.
that anyways. Like they normally don't do like make public statements or do investigations during
Before
an
an
election
election.
season. Yeah, they just like, I'm not saying that that's the right thing to do, but that is just generally how they do it. Like the one time that they did otherwise is the Comey situation with Clinton. And that was bullcrap. Like, because yeah, I would rather I'm not saying that this is how they should do it again, but I would like it to be consistent one way or the other. Either they're gonna do it the way that Comey was doing it, or they're gonna do it where they're actually.
I think there should be no investigations of presidential figures or candidates before an election, but that doesn't mean the news can't cover it. So, because what we're voting for is the opinion of the general public. Now, the problem with having an investigation before an election is that, first of all, I don't think you can have a legitimate investigation right before an election. I think there's too much political power and stuff being moved around at that point for it to happen. And there's a lot of things happening. Too many moving gears, as they say. Once they get elected, fucking go for it. The problem with elections is
talking about two people that are heading into an election year, and one of them potentially has a son overseas doing business dealings that person running for president could be connected
indict
to
the
that
Sun.
are very, very shit. We
Yes,
shouldn't
indict
know
the
about
Sun.
that before we vote for them.
No, I didn't say didn't know. The news. Let's not forget the news is an important part of the balance of power in this situation. I think the news should do the news thing. They should be doing the news thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember correctly, Fox was and right wing media was all over this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course,
Yeah,
they
but
were.
the
That's
FBI
all
didn't even
propaganda.
go pick up the laptop for a
And
while.
that's
They literally
why
just
Brendan
left it.
Roy's explaining it much better than I did a minute ago. When I said shelve it, that was underselling it. They called it Russian propaganda, Russian disinformation. Said, "Oh no, this story's not real because this is just Russian hoax. This is people trying to tamper with the election." Well, in
Yeah, they
turn,
couldn't
it was
shelve
really
it. They didn't have the
trying to
laptop
sway
yet.
voters the other way. And
yeah, Chicken
not make
actually
Joe
got
Biden
banned
look
on
bad.
Facebook for 30 days for even sharing this story.
There you
So
go.
was how
That
deep
is verifiable. We had
wait, say that
content
again?
taken
Yeah,
down.
Chicken
off
got
of
banned on
Facebook.
30 days on Facebook for sharing the Hunter Biden laptop story
That was the New York
because they
Post
were
story.
because they were citing, look at this letter from intelligence officials saying that this is disinformation, when we now know they knew this not to be true. And even this person that we were quoting earlier saying, well, if I thought it was Russian disinformation, I would have been inclined to agree. So they didn't know, but they just said it was in order to do what? Make a
So we
situation
know it
beneficial
wasn't
for a
Russian
certain person.
disinformation.
They were trying to bury the case.
It was not Russian disinformation. So
We don't know
putting
that
the
they
idea and
knew
the
that,
concept
though.
out there that it was Russian disinformation was an egregious lie.
Yeah, but no, we don't know that they knew that, though. They didn't even have the laptop.
They
yet.
didn't have any evidence.
We
though.
know it wasn't
They
Russian.
had
Right.
no evidence that
We
there
know
was
that.
any
We
kind of
do
Russian
know this.
disinformation or
that's
this
not-
had anything to do with Russia.
Yes,
They
no,
had
that-
zero
That is not
evidence.
what they said. That's not what they said. They didn't say that
They said
had
it was
evidence.
Russian disinformation.
No, they did not.
50
They said-
officials signed a letter.
No,
Yes, they did.
not.
Absolutely,
No,
they did.
they did not. They
Everything I've just said, the
absolutely did
audience
not.
will find
You
is
are
quite
lying.
verifiable.
You are lying right now. They said
No, I'm not.
that it has all of the
So
markers.
50
of
intelligence
Russia.
officials did not sign a letter saying this Hunter Biden laptop was misinformation. Yes or no?
They said that it has all of the markers of Russian disinformation. That is what they said.
And that was what got people banned on the internet based on that, what they knew not to be true. They had no evidence for it. No evidence for it. Tom, I'm going to say it again. No evidence for what they claimed, and it silenced millions.
Okay, yeah, you're wrong again. They already.
No, I'm not. Happened to us. Happened to Chicken. Happened to our good
Can we let
friends.
Tom finish? Can we let Tom finish?
Bro,
real quick?
every time I let you finish, and then as soon as I start talking, you go off on another rant. Okay,
No, I'm just correcting you. I'm
Facebook
sorry.
and Twitter had already started banning people before that letter came out. They had already started doing that. So
That was what
had
was
nothing
cited
to
for
do with
us.
the letter, though. That had to do with the fact that the FBI, like 6 months earlier, had come to them and said that they need to keep an eye out for Russian misinformation. That's what that came
Hold on.
from, and
This
we
is what
already have
gaslighting looks like,
testimony
folks.
from both what the. Damn it, I'm blanking on both their names, but the guy who runs Facebook and the guy who ran Twitter at the time,
Zuckerberg and
Zuckerberg and
Tom or
Todd
whatever
or
fucking name,
his-
whatever.
Yeah, we already have them saying that is why they started doing that, is because they had already been told months earlier that was the case.
Then why did
What,
they sign a letter if they didn't know for sure anything
hang
at
on,
all?
hang on.
Unless it was to try and
Hang
help
on.
somebody in an election. There's
Hold
really
on,
no
hold on.
other explanation.
They
at
didn't
this
say
point.
they knew
Hold on,
anything.
hold on,
They
hold
said that it had all of the markers. That's all they said.
And why did they sign any letter at all? Why did they say
Phil,
anything if they didn't
hang on.
actually know anything for sure?
Hang on.
They
See?
didn't say they
Hang
knew
on,
anything for
hang on.
sure. You keep saying, why did
That
they
is just
sign
nonsense, first of all.
something that has nothing to do
Tony,
with the
go
letter?
ahead.
You're asking why they signed something, and then you're saying something completely different than what the letter said.
What?
Didn't
What?
say they knew
Okay, I'm
anything.
looking at the website Politico. What leaning is that?
No leading. That political is one of them.
Unbelievably leftist.
No, political.
Okay, I just want to.
Wait,
I just want to pop.
am I
this
thinking
up
right?
real
No,
quick.
I'm thinking 538. Sorry.
So this is an
Politico
article
is
from
sock
Politico.
dem pornography.
Okay.
It really
This
like
is
it all
a
time.
article from Politico on the 19th of October 2020.
Mhm.
Hunter Biden story is Russian disinformation, dozens of former intel officials say. More than 50 former intelligence officials signed a letter casting doubt on the provenance of a New York Post story on the former vice president's son.
Yeah, but what Tom is saying is that the
That's not what the
social
letter
media
actually
companies had already been en route to burying it before this.
Yes, so that's not what the letter actually said. And the And the Twitter
So
and
Politico's
Facebook,
lying here
No, they're misquoting.
because that's their headline. So is Politico lying?
I'm saying they're misquoting it. They are incorrect.
So you're saying Politico's lying? Okay,
I'm
gotcha.
saying they are incorrect.
Well, did we read the
Distinction
whole
without a
thing?
difference.
No distinction with all of
See,
the
here's
difference.
what it says. More than 50 former
you're
intelligence officers
pushing
signed a letter
Dishonest and
casting
lying
doubt.
is a distinction without a
Casting
difference.
The
doubt.
reason
No,
you
the
want to
words are
say
casting
lie
doubt.
instead of just misinformation, and it's because intent comes with a lie. And I'm saying misinformation because I don't care about the intent. I don't have the evidence of the intent. If you have that evidence, I'd be happy to see it. But I do know that they're incorrect. I can send you the actual letter if you'd like to see that instead.
To keep going, T. This is fun. This is fun.
Oh, well, you want me to read this? Okay, so
Yeah.
again, this is from the 19th of October, 2020. More than 50 former senior intelligence officials have signed on to a letter outlining their belief that the recent disclosure of emails allegedly belonging to Joe Biden's son has all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation. The letter signed on Monday centers around a batch of documents released by the New York Post last week that purport to tie the Democratic nominee to his son Hunter's business dealings. Under the banner headline, Biden's secret emails, the Post reported it was given a copy of Hunter Biden's laptop hard drive by President Donald Trump's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, who said he got it from a Mac shop owner in Delaware who also alerted the FBI. While the letter's signatories presented no new evidence, they said their national security experience had made them deeply suspicious that the Russian government played a significant role in this case and cited several elements of the story that suggested the
Sign a
Kremlin's
letter
hand at
saying
work.
nothing.
So
Yes, they didn't. Yeah, they didn't have the freaking laptop, so they were just.
So
saying.
why would they say, "Oh, this is definitely Russian misinformation"?
That's not what they
and
said.
that is
Stop
what social
changing it.
media companies
That is
ran
not
with.
What they said. That's not what they said. Stop changing it. They didn't say it's definitely Russian misinformation.
As
They
all the
said-
hallmarks, according
They
to my
said it had the
training,
earmark.
this is Russian information. Signing a letter based on no evidence, saying something that they knew not to be true
No,
in
they
order to
put
help Hunter
13
Biden.
No, they put 13 markers of evidence, actually, that they say. When they say
Of
it
nothing.
meets all of the markers, they put the 13 markers.
which
that they
is
believe that
indicative
it
of
meets.
what?
Nothing. Like literally nothing. Just what they believe. And that's what they say. They literally
They're saying
say,
it's
"This is what we
they're
believe,"
using it as a descriptor of what?
of misinformation.
What
I
are
don't think
those
either one of you
markers?
guys are wrong. I think this is just a matter of the way you're interpreting something, and especially in hindsight, without all the timeline, it's hard for anybody. At least it's hard for me to grapple with what actually happened. I'd have to go back and look, but I don't think either one of y'all are wrong, because Tom is coming from it from a standpoint like I'm looking at what they actually said. This is what actually happened,
Mhm.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and
But then look
which
what
is a good way.
Politico
Hold on,
itself is
real quick.
reporting. to all the
Real
world.
good. That's a good way to look at things.
2 years ago.
But you guys are saying these are political actors. Who cares what they said? What they said, but you can't always say what they say as face value. There's intention, or there's some underlying intention behind what they said, and that's probably what happened.
Yeah, not
Oh,
even just that, but
and
the
spies are always
story
going to lie
in
to you. Keep that in
general
mind.
is just insane. To think that a president's son would even be allowed to just drop off a freaking laptop anywhere, but then also find out on top of that that it has like a bunch of incriminating evidence about the president's son, that somehow this is even allowed to take place. I thought there's no way in the world this is actually a real thing. There's no freaking way.
Nobody
Then on
was.
top
You
of
also had the
that-
CIA
then on
telling
top
you
of
there's
that-
no way that's a real thing, too.
Then on top of that, you already have all of these intelligence agencies expecting
experts,
Russian misinformation around this time. And so they're thinking, okay, yeah, obviously that's a freaking ridiculous thing. That is insane.
That's what I
No
thought
way
when I
this
seen it,
actually
too.
took
I
This
don't
place.
is
like
We're
the
all
idea
waiting
that the
for this
intelligence
anyways.
agencies would make such a bold assumption and not take anything seriously.
They
But
didn't
that's
make
It
an
wasn't an
assumption.
assumption. It
sounds
was
like
a
it was.
suggestion.
What?
Yes, again,
was
it's
a
not an assumption.
suggestion.
are
When they
saying-
assumed it was
suggestion.
Russian disinformation, that was them making a
That's
So,
an
assumption.
assumption.
They
okay.
didn't
So
assume
say
that.
you get a
Suggestion
call. Say you
is
get a
an
call.
assumption without a different. Come on.
Again,
It's
no,
the
they
same
didn't make
exact
the
thing in
assumption.
this
Again,
regard.
Either
when
they made
all
the assumption or
said-
Politico's lying.
No,
Those are your choices,
Politico
Tom.
was
Sorry.
wrong.
No lie.
Politico can be wrong without lying. But the again, all they said was that it meets all of the markers of Russian disinformation. That is what they said. That it could still be true.
So does
It's
a
still
fucking
true
comment
that it
on a
meets all the markers.
Facebook group. Like, there's what are the earmarks? What are the classic earmarks?
They put it in the
of
letter.
Russian
They
disinformation,
literally
because you
put
can
it in
apply
the
that to
letter.
almost anything that you don't want to have legs, to immediately cut those legs out from under it. Tell me that's not a tactic.
pretty much
you
what the
guys
CIA
again.
and the
Listen,
Russians
this is
do
the
right now.
difference that you guys make
Camps
these
do.
like leaps of logic that I'm just not willing to make. Like you fill in all of the blanks, and I'm not filling in the blanks. I'm saying what literally happened.
Like
and
the
you guys are
CIA
saying what
trying to
you
interfere
guys-
in an
There were no
election.
COVID lockdowns.
I mean, it's pretty obvious. Like, I mean, like it's if you got 2 eyes to
Unless
see,
you were
2
in
ears to
China.
hear, yeah, it's pretty obvious.
But your
This is what
eyes and
happened.
ears didn't see either one of those things. They didn't.
Who are you gonna believe, folks?
That's what you're
Tomfoolery or your
describing.
lion eyes? Brendan, boot looking is the term you're looking for from Bandit. So yeah, folks, like I said, I always keep my definition that I gave at the beginning of this before your mind, because there's really no other way that you can look at it that was what the CIA ultimately did when they, and I will bring it again for you folks once my phone loads. The government just made a statement saying they're evil and untrustworthy. Tom can take our side now. Nice. Nice.
Man.
Awesome.
This is
I'm
fun.
here for it.
Manager conducts something fraudulently so as to produce a result or situation that is advantageous to a particular person. So, folks, I want you to always keep that before your mind when you think back to this particular story and the many more to come before. And look at the slippery, weaselly language that the deep state tries to use. No, I didn't say it was rigged. I said it maybe could have, maybe sort of might have been, but we're still going to crack down on social media viciously regardless, even though it's a sort of maybe, who knows, regard. And so, yeah, just ask Chicken. He was silenced.
Wait,
during
they
that
didn't crack
election
down on
cycle.
social media. What are you talking about?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, we
Chicken
have-
was
How?
silenced during that particular election cycle
We have
because he
exact
shared
proof.
specifically the Hunter Biden election story.
Again, this is before they had the laptop. And if I'm a social media company and you're bringing, hold on, let me just say
He's
this.
sharing a story about the laptop, man. What are you
hold
talking
on.
about?
If I-
We
hold on,
literally
let me
have
say
the
this. Let me
emails
say this.
from Twitter. We literally saw their conversations. about
Yeah, we
this.
saw the conversation between the FBI and Twitter. If I'm a social media company and I don't want to happen in 2016, me personally, fuck all politics. I'm deleting politics for 6 months before the election. They at least allowed some of it, and this seemed like Tom said.
Pro Biden, some of it.
No. This like Tom said at the time before the laptop and all this stuff had been revealed as actual evidence. The story sounds ridiculous. It sounds retarded on its face, like that. And there's no way I'm letting this on my platform.
That's why.
So
I
you
asked Tony,
censored
what-
true information.
No,
What
you don't
story
know it to
did
be
you-
true at the time. You
Hold
don't
on,
know
wait,
it.
just to
got
be
you
clear,
But it
again,
is.
just to be clear,
That's why
they
you have to have
censored-
free speech, because you don't know
I
what
wanna
is true,
know.
and we have to let sunlight be the best disinfectant.
Yes, just to be clear, they censored one story, one news article. That was it. Everybody else who was talking
Me,
about it,
I
but
would
they
get rid of all of
those same
politics.
things in it. They allowed that on the platform. They allowed screenshots of the articles without the PPI in it. Like they allowed a bunch of other things. It was just one article
Real
that
bad.
they didn't allow.
Oh, and they didn't allow the Hunter Biden pictures and stuff because first of all, that's revenge porn. That's illegal. You can't.
That's what
have
I
that.
was asking about.
But they did
yeah.
throttle
What-
other
Yeah.
things. They
Yeah.
did throttle other stories.
So, like,
Yeah,
what did you share, Tony?
Hold on.
That got you banned.
Former Twitter executive concedes Wednesday that they made a mistake by blocking access to the explosive Hunter
Chicken.
Biden
What about
laptop
Chicken?
But that's
story
in hindsight.
weeks before the 2020
Okay, that's in
presidential
hindsight.
election.
Yes, no, I agree that
Jesus
they made a
Christ.
mistake.
So
there.
yeah, maybe we should not try to pick and choose what kind of facts
No,
we allow
you-
people
no,
to
no, you need to
consider
go one
and
of both
chew
ways.
on,
You need to
and
go
let
both ways.
people make their own decisions.
You need to go
Because
one
let me
of both
ask,
ways.
no, I'm curious. Is there anybody here that has somebody that they would like to nominate to decide for you what's fit for you to read? Is there anybody who feels they weren't grown up enough to handle this Hunter Biden story and decide for themselves?
don't-
I'm curious. Did anybody feel they weren't
I think
grown up enough
individuals are.
in the immediate aftermath of
I
it?
think
I mean,
individuals are
this-
grown up
this
enough. I
panel
don't
right
think that.
here is evidence of
I don't think
people who
social
aren't
media is
grown
grown
up
up enough.
enough.
I get it, Tom. You were not prepared for the truth, and you had to have the daddy Twitter and daddy Facebook block it for you for a few months until you were ready for it.
I
get
read it.
get
Well, look.
I
from a
read
court-
it, and I
So you
sat
were
here and
grown up
talked to you
enough for
guys
it.
about
Why isn't everybody else?
Hold
Well,
on.
you
Why
were,
do you
and
think it needs to be
everybody else
blocked by
except
other
for
people?
You maybe, but the rest of
Hold-
us were.
No,
Hold on,
I
real
handled
quick.
it just fine, and I'm
Real
just
quick,
waiting for you to
real
catch
quick.
up, man.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
if I own a social media company, there's only two ways you can go about this, practically in my mind. You either have to let everything go, and you're doing like like a lot of alternative platforms that are proposing free speech and its absolution, basically 4chan light, or you're gonna do social media the way we know it today, and you need to block me. To me, you need to. I say you should do a political blackout for certain times of the year, because that you can't manage what you don't know. And this is an example of managing something that you don't know.
It's not even that. It like at the time the Senate was down Twitter's throat about misinformation getting out about they had just had the congressional hearings about the Russian misinformation from 2016 election and all of the trouble that they were getting into. They believe that, you know, they're about to get a ton of regulations put on them. And so, yeah, they're freaking terrified in this moment that they're going to start losing their platforms. They're going to start losing their TOS. And so they're doing everything they can to make sure that 2016 does not happen again, because a lot of Russian misinformation really did get out in 2016, a lot of it. And so they're all trying their best to make sure that the same exact thing didn't happen. And
by
they
the way,
were,
Tom,
I will
agree with
agree.
you.
Hold on.
They did everything they could to not let 2016 happen again by letting
Hang on,
Donald
Phil,
Trump.
hang on.
And I
I
will
know.
agree that they probably, obviously, that they made a mistake by doing what they did. But when you look at the emails that were happening in the background, I like the process that they went through to do it. I like what it was that they were doing, and I like the conversations that they were having. I like the arguments that they were
By the
having.
way, they went against the federal government.
I like the thought processes that they were using to do this. I liked all of it. It looked like they were doing the right thing.
I mean, what a shock that a Biden voter would like all the processes that slowed down a story that would have been disadvantageous to Biden. I mean, I'm sorry, like it does like
I don't see
Oh,
any reason it would have
hi,
been disadvantageous to
Ty.
Biden. I see no reason it would have affected Biden
I
whatsoever.
don't know why you're here, Ty, but
All right, I think that's a good
Ooh,
point.
are you?
Jeez, Phil.
So look, Phil. So if I gave you a company, if I gave you a social media company,
Still
and I
mad
said
about
this, you have to run it. Look, to be honest with you, this is who failed. The
I
federal
would
government.
not extend to Ty a courtesy he's not extending to me if I own that
Okay,
social media
come
company.
on.
Sorry.
Jeez, Phil.
Anyway,
come
moving on. So the if I give you a social media to be honest with you, the federal government has failed because the federal government has failed to put in place any type of rules and regulations for these social media companies. They're doing it by the wind. A matter of fact, Zuckerberg and the owner of Twitter has said repeatedly in front of Congress, I believe, that they need rules and regulations that come from the government. They don't want to have to handle this stuff. Now, I know Tom's shaking his head; he doesn't agree. But that's that.
Sorry,
that's,
no, I was shaking my head at the comment.
None will
Oh,
be
okay.
offered.
I'm ignoring that right now.
Right.
So if I give you a social media company, Phil, I think I know what your answer is. You're gonna err on the side of free speech absolution and let people just say what they want to say. Is that correct?
Pretty much. I mean, you know, you're gonna basically weed out anything that actually like is direct harm to somebody. But the way that you do that is just direct them to as much K.O.E. content as humanly
What
possible.
is
You
Their
just
feet
asked the
filled with
worst question.
this
you could
beautiful
ask,
face right
and
here
it's
Okay.
is what you
occasionally going
see
to go to
at
all you
least
need to
7 out of every 10 videos.
KOE Nation
I
on
feel
your
like-
Twitch.
Okay, so what is direct harm? Is
Yeah, I was gonna say.
is obviously calls the violence of direct harm. But what about
Yeah, like shit like that. Like
what about
I'm gonna go kill so and so because so and so needs like yeah, that kind of
what
shit.
about virtually terrorizing
it.
somebody?
Clip it.
Yes, clip it.
Gov regulations fix
Justin,
everything. What happens
you
when
see
they
this? Clip
outlaw
that.
drugs and murder? Oh, Brendan Roy's like,
I mean, there's two sides to both coins. But here's my question: what about virtually terrorizing somebody, like hate brigading and etc.?
I don't know, because like I've often always said, if anybody even like tried to lead something against me, like even if there's a protest outside my house, I would probably just go out the back door with the fake glasses, nose, and mustache, join him, and be like, "Yeah, fuck that guy. He's responsible for all my bad decisions. Fuck him." But yeah, so KOE Nation on Twitch, YouTube, and TikTok. You know, this is true. This is true. Tiger.
What if they were dropping racial
That's
slurs?
right.
Best
against-
thing you've said
Information.
all in days.
So what if they're
Russian
dropping racial slurs against Black people, Hispanics, and Jewish people? Is that allowed on the platform?
Fuck no.
Well,
Why
I
not?
probably it's definitely not good manners, so it wouldn't be something I would want on my platform.
Well, no, we're not going by good manners.
Well,
You
I
said
can't.
free
It's my
speech.
platform, motherfucker.
Well, wait, so what defines good
This
manners?
is fucking KO. This is the KOE nation, the dictatorship. No, I get what you're saying. If I was like, to me personally, that's what the block button's for. There is an extent where if you don't like what somebody's saying, block them.
That's
Now,
literally what
That's
Facebook
what
and
Twitter
Twitter's
did.
doing.
Yeah, that's what
they're
Twitter
doing.
did.
That's what I'm
That's
trying to
exactly
make the
what
point. You have to
Twitter
manage
did.
the platform
Ace,
somehow.
we all agree then. Let's
For-
go.
I'm glad
So
we
wait,
all
so
agree.
no, well done, Tom. They blocked the Hunter Biden laptop story because
they didn't
Hunter
know it was
Biden was
true.
saying too many slurs in all the
One
videos.
article.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
No,
Because they didn't know
no,
it to
but
be
you're
true,
saying
and they
if I
have a
don't
line.
like it, if you don't like something, hit the block button. They didn't like it. They hit the block button on that one article. So yeah, that's what they did.
And
We all agree.
by the way, I don't agree with them. I don't agree with them banning Donald Trump because I don't think there's enough evidence to say that he incited anything. And even if there
Stop
was,
it, Osiris. I was
no,
agreeing with you
I don't
so
think there's
much.
enough. No, legally,
Let him
legally
cook.
speaking,
Let him cook.
legally
Yeah.
speaking, I don't think there's enough evidence for him to say that. Twitter does have the right, but I don't think it's a good decision. And plus, I don't. If you're gonna, also, I don't think you should block political leaders. I think you should let them say what they want to say, and then if the people vote him out, then you block them, which I think
But
is
they
basically
they
what
did
happened.
vote him out, and they
Yeah.
got rid of him once he was out of office. I agree. If he was still in office and they banned him, that would have been horrible. That would have been insane.
Yeah.
They did block one of his tweets on election night. And so, like, to
Well, he had some
Republicans,
unhinged
they were
tweets on
just
him.
like, that
Come on,
was the
dude.
moment. Like, that was the moment that a lot of Republicans just tapped out and walked away.
No, but
from a
unhinged
good chunk
tweets
of
from the
process.
president should stay on Twitter. I think so.
I think us as citizens, we should have as unfettered access to whatever fucking thought is falling out of the gourd of the leader of the free world
We
in
do.
whatever way. If
We
he's
have-
just sitting on his toilet
No,
going,
there's literally
I
a
think this
social media
shit's
feed
funny.
from .gov.
I want to know that.
There's literally a social media from .gov. You can use that all day, and then nobody's gonna block you from that.
Yeah, I think
Truth
I
Social.
could be wrong, but I could have
Doing
sworn
well, Ty,
wasn't
doing
the one tweet that got blocked like him like claiming victory in the election?
I don't know.
Well, he'd
No,
still be
it
doing
was
that
he
if
was
he
going
still had
like
his
stop
Twitter.
the cap, but like regardless of whatever it is, that is the president of the United States running for re-election, and on election night, social media companies picking and choosing what people want to see. And so, like Osiris, what you're saying here is they need to do this 6 month. But why? Because eventually someone's coming to office, and they're going to say, okay, all you social media companies are openly interfering in our elections, whether you want to admit it or not. And so all of y'all are getting the Fed hammer. And so it's coming. I saw the censorship. You saw,
let me be honest.
you
Here.
saw the Crenshaw ship.
The internet is in itself a democratic endeavor. You don't have to use Twitter, and I don't want to hear about the reach of the president. The president, while he's president, could literally open Donald Trump fuck you and make that his platform, and I guarantee you every news media company would have covered it at the time. 100%. Everybody would have looked at it. He did not have to be on Twitter. He did not have to be on Facebook. He is the president of the United States. He can talk from wherever the fuck he wants to, and especially since it's Donald Trump, people were going to cover it and listen to him. And you have no inherent rights to Twitter. That's just a fact. I do believe it's still a private platform. I know there's an argument to be made, but this is why the government needs to come in and make a regulation and rules about what a social media platform is and at what size it is that thing. That argument, that technology argument has been on the table for a decade now. They need to come to a resolution.
Digital.
Yeah,
public
but
right.
it's like it is going the other way where they're going to have issues with election meddling and Russian misinformation and people who are and again, like the Russian misinformation from 2016 wasn't one way. It wasn't like they were just helping Trump, and it wasn't that they were just helping Hillary. It was them putting out just a bunch of misinformation about both sides, just trying to draw as much division as possible and confuse as many people as possible. It wasn't them just like, trying to get a specific person elected the entire time. It was just a bunch of bullcrap.
Yeah, and to the argument from the right saying that that we don't know that Russian disinformation in 2016 swayed the election. Yeah, we don't know but that's not something we want entered into our politics. Just in the same way you don't want the CIA in your politics, you don't want Russia in your politics. Zero. We want zero of that, both sides.
True.
Terrible. And for the potential misinfo shit, there should be some blockage, some bannage. So here's the problem. Nobody's got the proper solution because nobody's going to be happy because you want people with free speech. But then you also have the idea of at one point, these social media companies are now just openly interfering in our elections. So folks, if you got an answer, let me know.
Wait, I don't like that characterization.
Yeah,
Twitter and Facebook are not openly interfering. They're allowing other
when they
actors
pick and choose what you're allowed to
they have to
digest
pick
and what
and
you're
choose
allowed to
something.
read. Yeah, they're
They can
interfering in the
choose what
election.
to publish. If they don't feel confident in what they're publishing, that would put them on grounds for lawsuits in the future.
That
So if they don't
publisher
feel
versus-
Life
confident
is a
in the
compromise.
reporting,
You have to decide.
Well,
So
no,
why does the
Twitter
social media
Twitter
company
is
have to?
going to be liable. It's part of what is it? Is it section 230? Is that the right one? Am
I
I,
believe it
I
is.
don't
I
remember.
believe
I
it
think
is.
so.
what's the one that applies to
Now, hang on.
Yeah, that's the
Tiberius goes,
Communications BCC
we
Act,
can
yes.
see why Facebook is so bad. Look how shit
That's
those
the
chatters are
Communications
just
Act.
being here. Now, it's kind of like last
Yes.
night, Tiberius, when you
Section 230.
openly told a bald-faced lie about me on
can we
your
not
panel
litigate
last
this?
Here we
night when you
go.
misrepresented my position, saying that I said in the leak that
Hey.
troops were actually on the move and in combat. I never said that, and you misrepresented my position last night.
Hey,
Somebody
but-
sent me a video of that.
Hold on.
I-
Let me talk to both of you real quick, real fast. 5 seconds. You guys should litigate.
I'll give you
this.
15.
Okay, you guys should litigate this somewhere else. That's not a good look. You shouldn't do it. Don't do it.
Oh, so what you're saying is on KOE Nation tomorrow night, I'm going to have the full fucking drama stream all
Listen,
night long.
I told
Just
Tiberius
fuck it
this.
all.
I told Tiberius this. I will moderate between you and Tiberius, and you guys can have it out. Privately, I would prefer, but if you want to do it public, I don't give a fuck. Between you two.
Marvelous. But he said, that's what you said. Actually, Ty, I screenshotted everything from that conversation because I figured there'd be some misrepresentation. So I have the receipts. But so what you're saying is tomorrow night, all night, just make it the entire
If
drama.
you guys want to talk about it
like
all night, that's fine. And I'm willing to moderate it if you want. If that's what y'all want,
Tom and Tony,
or you guys can have it out. But I don't think you guys should have it out between the chat and on camera.
Let's not do. Yeah, that's not going to be a good end to this topic. Let's save that for a different.
So Hunter Biden cleared, completely innocent, did nothing wrong.
Okay, that we're going to give you a second to. We're going to give you a second to say that, Tom. Phil,
Re-say that again.
I don't know who this Tom person is, but I'm appreciating him.
No, sorry, Tom. I was looking at the. What'd you say there? Sorry.
Said Hunter Biden, completely innocent, cleared of all charges, did nothing wrong. Maybe a little tax thing, everybody has that. Even
There's a
Trump
gun
has
thing.
those issues. That's it.
He owned a legal firearm. We can get
Yeah,
him for that.
well, I don't know. Was it that it was illegal, or was it that he didn't have what I forget? It was some sort of technicality thing. Like I thought that he had like a license for it. It was just some.
I
don't even
want
remember
a
what it
book on
was.
this guy, Hunter Biden. This dude got guns, blow, and bitches. He's out here doing his best, living his best life. This guy is living the life.
I think like Tony sent me a TikTok the other day. It's like, I am so on board for Biden 2024. Not Joe, Hunter.
Not Joe.
I want Hunter to run 24. Because have you heard this guy was an oil executive in Ukraine? He was a real estate agent in China. He's a master painter. I mean, like this guy is like
It'd basically be like getting Charlie Sheen to be president, just no humor. No humor whatsoever.
True.
No jokes, no acting. You're getting the real like Uncle Charlie from 2.5 Men as president. I'm in. I'm sold. If fucking Hunter were running in 2024, how are you not going to vote for that? Come on. You think Joe Biden was a fucking disaster, or you think he was amazing? Doesn't matter. Like, you're going to get all the votes because he's either A, going to be a bigger disaster or highly entertaining. Like, come on. Hunter Biden 2024. That's where it's at, folks.
But yeah,
Tony-
Section 230 makes it so that like the social media platforms can't be held accountable for the stuff that's on the platform as long as they are enforcing their TOS in good faith. And so something like, having a story on there that has misinformation, they're not going to be able to get sued for it. But they can get regulations for it. Like they can get stricter regulations. Section 230 can be adjusted and changed or completely withdrawn.
No, wait,
and that's what they're afraid of.
I'm curious for Tony and oh my God, my brain's melting right now. Fuck me. You over there in the corner with the American flag.
You forgot Phil K.O.E., the great Phil. I don't know.
I asked for it.
Cyrus,
I'm so
that
sorry.
might be the only crime in the K.O.E. nation.
What have you done?
I know.
I
asked for that.
Look at you.
God.
Emotional damage.
Talk to the elbow because the hand's on vacation.
I totally forgot my question now. Shit.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
on for
let's move
Tony and Phil K.O.E.
Ask me what that weird Rush Limbaugh looking motherfucker over there.
I
what
said
his
something
name
about
was.
Section 230, and then you sounded like you were going to ask a question off of that.
Oh, yes, rules and regulations. So you guys are levying that the social media companies, the major social media companies, are not being fair, particularly towards conservatives. Am that correct?
More or less. It seems to go one direction more than it does the other.
I won't argue that one way.
Especially with the big timers.
I think that the people in charge of social media platforms generally have
hair dye.
I would say the TOS definitely leans left for sure.
Okay. So
there's a lot
that's
of
an
stuff
issue.
we can't say.
But how do you solve that issue? Because you're not going to get them to self-regulate because everybody has a bias, and these companies are probably top down for the most part when it comes to TOS. What's put in the TOS, et cetera. Rules.
Well, they are currently self-regulating.
Yes, they're self-regulating, and nobody's happy, especially conservatives, right? Just to be clear, there's a lot of left people out here complaining about social media too. But what would be the way to fix that? The government, the voters, by extension, the voters would come in and say, this is what we want, and this is what we don't want. I don't see why you guys have such a... I'm not saying draconian, totalitarian state efforts, iron fist on the social media companies, but some rules and regulations so that we can at least even the playing field for both sides. Is that an issue? Because I keep seeing people say, no rules and regulations because the government bad. Well, no, we have to have a government.
I don't have a problem.
It's kind of the Overton window in itself, and that it's moved so far so far right that things get kind of wonky when they start saying certain things, and it causes problems to the point where people start calling the CDC and other medical agencies to see if it's okay to ingest bleach.
What?
The propaganda gets real dumb real fast, and people aren't discerning at this point. So when you have this kind of problem, you can't let any sort of information get out in certain ways. They have to be responsible. They have to put a disclaimer. Something needs to happen. Can you put a disclaimer on any message the president says when you realize things that the president says are sus as fuck?
Well, speaking of fake news,
but I get the sentiment.
Tiberius said, "Hey Phil, where does the Northern Lights outside?
It should be good as
fake
fuck.
news. Can't see it right now. There's too many cloud overcast.
We have to put fucking caution contents maybe hot on coffee cups because people were too stupid to understand that going forward.
Do you know what happened to that lady?
That was before social media became a thing. So it's not that people have gotten dumber, even though they have gotten dumber. But people shouldn't be saved from themselves when it comes to reading what they should be allowed to read because one thing leans one way and one thing leans the other way. I don't think political leaning should be the dictation on what people are allowed to read. People should be allowed to make up their own mind. People should be allowed to take in data without having it already kerneled into the writing itself or the words being spoke, how they should interpret said information. Unfortunately, that's what we're getting with social media, with major news companies reporting, quote unquote, the news. And there's really no way to put that genie back in the bottle. That is just the way it works now. How do you regulate that? You can't. It is a monster. The monster exists now, and I don't see any way to slay the monster. The people need to be the ones to self-regulate the information that they want to intake. That's what it is. People, unfortunately, are going to be inclined to accept what they're reading, hearing, taking in one way or another because it's just easier to do that. Most people are not going to generally dig any deeper, and even if they wanted to, it's not that easy to do so.
Ooh,
And this
I'm
is something
agreeing
we've
with you,
talked about a
Tony.
lot.
Well,
Tony,
but wait, that's an issue with the people, though, because if the people are all
Jeez.
getting their information from social media platforms, where social media platforms
Thank you,
can decide
Chase.
what they can or can't see, then obviously, like, they probably should not be getting their information from those social media platforms. They should be getting it from the news outlets. They should be getting it from the sources themselves. Twitter is not a news publisher, and so for you to feel like they have
No,
some
they're not. So
obligation
they shouldn't be
to
silencing
give you-
stories about laptops either.
well, no, they shouldn't. They have no responsibility one way or the other. It's not like it doesn't matter
And yet
one
they
way or
took
the
the
other
initiative.
because they're not a news publisher.
I mean,
That's
if you
not who
wanted
they are. That
if you wanted to
happens
get
to be
creative,
where
I mean,
people
they
get
do
their
use government
information.
subsidized
But again,
bandwidth.
that's an issue with the people who are getting their information from a biased source.
I mean, if you want to get creative, their bandwidth is taxpayer subsidized very heavily. So you could actually make the argument that they're more of
Wait
a
a
public
minute. No.
utility than
I-
Their
I wanna
bandwidth.
get back to what
Wait,
Tony
no,
said in the
no,
first
hold on.
place.
I
I'm
can't let him get
really
away with the
autistic
technical
about this
issue.
shit.
I'm sorry. Hold
Oh,
on.
no,
I'm
I
sorry.
have
Are you
I've
saying that
had
the
a
bandwidth that
technical
these
issue.
companies use is not taxpayer
Fine,
subsidized?
I'll let it ride.
There-
Alright,
some
so
of
there-
it
No.
is
Give everybody a
subsidized,
chance.
Some,
yes.
some of it is
Get their thought on it.
subsidized.
Look, I'll let you cook. I'm just curious.
So like if you're Netflix or Twitter or whatever, you have direct pipelines into the into the ISPs and into the backbones. Yes, you do. But you as the customer are also paying for that bandwidth, right? On the other side.
And
No.
we're being taxed that whole way, and who built
Yeah.
all that along the way, and who built
Wait,
it was
why
our
do-
tax dollars
wait,
that built
why do-
the
wait.
Internet of Things
Right,
that
right,
we
right,
have
right.
now, and it's those
Right,
people
right,
whose
hold on,
tax
hold on,
dollars
hold on.
went out there are now being banned from the internet.
Don't
that
they
helped
subsidize
build.
farmers, oil companies, everything?
It's the same as anybody
I'm not
else.
trying
or
to stop
anything
any
else.
motherfucker from eating any of my food. I want everybody to eat my fucking food.
All right, they want
okay?
everybody to eat
Like,
their
I'm
internet.
Not trying to
Yeah,
do.
come
I'm
on,
not
it's
trying to
the
be a
same
Twitter
shit, Phil.
dick
Come
with
on,
my
dude.
food here.
God damn it, Phil. Jesus Christ. It's the same shit. They want them to eat their internet. They need more Twitter in their lives because who knows why. I think we need
The
to.
internet
I mean,
was
no,
a military
here's the hot
protocol.
take. I think we should ban all social media. If you want to say something, I think you should build your own websites like it's 2005. That's what you should do.
Back to GeoCities. Let's go.
GeoCities, yes.
Actually,
Fuck
speaking
yes.
of
Let's get our
Tom, do
GeoCities
you
Twinkling
still
gifs.
have your private
Angel
website?
Fire.
No, not anymore. No,
I was going to use you as a shining example of what Osiris just talked about.
no, I got rid of it. Destiny still has his though. He's like I think most of his views come through his website these days.
Sorry, Lethy, what did you
Interesting.
have? I know you wanted to retort something.
Oh,
That's it.
because you started with reporting on the topic of the lady that got burned for the coffee. It was acknowledged that they were serving the coffee extremely hot and the lids weren't exceptionally good. And this lady had to get skin graft on skin graft. She went through excruciating pain and medical costs, and she only sued for the medical costs of the skin grafts, which were extremely expensive. So, should the public not know about something like this, even though it sounds stupid? In this case, it
The
seems
details
frivolous.
matter. Intent
The details
too.
matter. So, in the case of the Hunter Biden laptop, it seemed really stupid, but there were no facts. In this case, there were facts.
So you should find them. And you shouldn't
Yes.
shouldn't prevent people from trying to find those facts.
Nobody
they essentially
prevented
did.
anyone. They just said, hey, just a heads up. If you see this, scrutinize it harder than you would scrutinize normal things.
No, they did block the one story. There's one story
Wait.
that got blocked from one publisher. That was it.
You just said
Why was it
details
blocked?
matter. You
Why
just
was it
said
blocked?
details matter, yet people were being silenced when sharing the article. Again, chicken was fucking banned on Facebook.
Yeah, that was the thing.
we had
I
YouTube
was
videos
and all the
taken
and all
down.
the dick pics and all those pictures were
There it
also
is.
they
It
were
wasn't
banned
just
too.
dick pics. It
It
was
wasn't the dick
spreading
No,
the
no, I
story.
didn't say that.
They,
Hold on,
they were
hold on.
trying to
Stop,
stop the
stop. I didn't say
spread.
that. I didn't say
Hold
that. I said and the dick pics were also.
Well, so
This is
the
what I'm trying to
issue
figure
was
out.
the
Was
issue
it
was
considered hack materials?
yes, it was hacked materials and there was private information in there from with email addresses and stuff.
There you go.
I don't think they need to share. Like, look, the information, what's on there, the fucking revenge porn pics, whatever. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about anything. I don't care who he's fucking. I don't care what drugs he's doing. I really don't care, especially because he was in another country when he was doing it. So it double
Nice.
doesn't give a fuck.
I encourage.
It's not
Let's
that.
do
Well,
it.
Has
I'm
nothing to
asking
do with
you,
that. It's his
if-
connection to his father that I actually care about. And I want to know about those things before the election because, yes, absolutely, that should absolutely
So you're talking about
be
the
information.
Ukrainian deal and all that stuff, right?
I'm talking about
All the
anything
money
that we're
deals that
talking
were hidden
about
in the
in
laptop.
relation to the guy that was actually running for presidency of the United States.
But you
And we
like
were
Maybe, I
actually
don't know. I'll look into
silencing
that.
the story. The details of the story. We were labeling it Russian disinformation. That is a detail.
But
That
you
is a
don't
huge
like-
chunk of the story, and it wasn't Russian disinformation. And we could talk about it being hindsight. Doesn't matter. Oh, we didn't know then. But you made the assumption, you made the generalization, you said it has the earmarks. Like it or not, that is at least insinuating to people that if you see this story, take it with a grain of salt. Fine,
So
take it with a
again,
grain of
I asked
salt.
the both of y'all.
no scrutinize
Sure,
it.
but it was
Oh,
also them who verified the
Tiberius,
freaking
don't worry.
laptop.
Nobody has a
It was
telescope or
also
microscope
them
that
who
powerful.
verified it and said, yes, this story is real and this is a real laptop, and the information that you're getting from it, the pictures, the emails, all of these things are real. They verified all of that as well. They made sure that we knew it was real. They did both.
You know who said that? Big Bucking Empire.
Oh, yes. We were one of the first to say the Hunter laptop was real.
But you
And we
didn't
were
verify
censored, and we
it.
got the censorship
Oh, wait,
You
fucking
did not
cancel
verify
culture
it.
marks.
The FBI did. The FBI did verify it.
If you're right,
And the
for all
CIA
wrong
lied about it.
reasons,
Who would have thought that
What did they lie?
detectives would get to the bottom of it and the spies would lie?
When did they lie about it?
The CIA,
Yeah.
when they said it was Russian
They didn't say
disinformation.
that. They didn't
Oh
say that.
yeah, you're gonna play pretend.
All right, that's
No,
gonna
I'm
be
not
a
playing
good
pretend.
point.
You're
You
Let's
actually
just
kind of
Phil.
are. Because
You
no,
are
that was the
choosing to be
exact
inaccurate.
fucking headline the Politico was used. That
We're
was
not
used
talking
for
about Politico.
everybody.
If you
That
wanna
was
say
how
that's
it
what
was
Politico
reported
said,
to
then that's
everybody,
fine.
and that
You
was
did
how
not
the
say that's what
consequences
Politico said.
were
You said that's what
inflicted
the
on
CIA
anybody that
said
tried to spread
because
this
you're
story,
lying.
Tom.
You
You
know
don't
you're
have to
lying.
like it,
You're
but
gonna
this is what
continue to
happened.
lie
You can
because
play
you know
pretend
that you
now
can't
after
actually
the
tell the
fact,
truth.
but
If
that
you
is
told
what
the truth,
happened.
your entire thing
You're just
would
playing
fall
pretend
apart.
now. I'm sorry, Tom, but that is indeed what happened.
Tom, you can't win. He's gonna go longer than you will.
I am the king of filibusters.
Oh no, Tom's missed that.
I was about to say,
Tom
how
has missed
Tom,
that.
we missed you around here. God bless Jesus
I
Christ.
aim for jab.
That
I aim
happens
for
at least
jabs.
once or twice every time we're on the show.
I was about to say, I was about to
Especially-
say, Osiris, Lethe, you're just, well, thank you, Tiberius. At least
Oh my
you're
God.
finally catching
All
the
right,
score around here.
let's Phil.
Now,
You're not
all
allowed
right,
to
folks,
say
this
damn
is
thing.
this
That's
is a
all
part
I'm
of the
saying.
show where, with everything we're talking about here, the Hunter Biden laptop story and everything, this is on hazard analysis where everybody, as a closing statement on this, you get to state what do you think is the hazard going forward involved in this story, and what is your closing analysis. So we kind of give you a twofer for a
And
closer.
you get to say it uninterrupted.
I
Oh
know.
my
God.
I will actually not interrupt you.
Imagine
I don't have to
that.
pay
Like
for
Tom, I swear for you. Wow, you didn't have to pay for it either, Lethe. Tom, I swear to you, during your hazard and analysis, I will even mute my mic for you. So, like that is a very rare,
High
rare
praise, high
indulgence
praise.
indeed. So, let's see. T, who should we have go first for the hazard going forward? Osiris, you've been here the longest this evening. So,
Okay.
and you've been here in this glorious arena of hazard analysis. What do you think is the hazard going forward with the Hunter Biden laptop story and everything connected to it, and your final closing analysis, sir?
Well, as I stated before, I think the hazard is social media companies and how they choose the stories. I sympathize with you guys' position, what gets covered and what doesn't get covered. I understand that. I 100% get that. The problem is nobody knows where that line is, and then no matter where you draw that line, you're gonna have angry ass people. I think the federal government should step in and at least make some rules, not iron fist this shit, but make at least some rules. And you got one or two ways to go about this. You can either, and this is the analysis part, you can either go towards the free speech part and let people say what the fuck they want to say. But I'm gonna tell you that social media company won't get advertisers, they won't get paid, and it's gonna be a shit show. But if you like shit shows and wallowing in the mud, hey, go for it. And then the other side, you have to have some type of consistent monitoring and moderating of information. That's what's gonna piss people off. I don't think there is an answer for that. I don't think we can create an answer for that. It's a human problem, right? And the problem with that human problem is that for 100,000 years, humans could only talk to another human, or maybe even make a telephone call in the last 100 years, and it's limited. But now you can talk to thousands, tens of thousands, 1 million people at a time, and that makes the effect outsized, and we have no way of dealing with that.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. Lethe, what is the hazard and the analysis, sir?
The hazard seems to be the overwhelming feeling of privilege we have to have information that 40, 50, 60 years ago we would never even have an inkling of. We would only get on the 6 or 7 channels on our dial TV to get any information, where we wouldn't have the levels of random information going around right now. So companies and the news media have a greater responsibility with all the information flying around to keep people protected. And the hazard I'm seeing is that possibly with this whole Hunter Biden laptop thing, at some point they may bust into my house because of something I said here in these spaces that made someone suspect, and break into my equipment without any sort of warrant or real lawful reason to get into my information and publish it. Just like what happened with Pizzagate, where someone broke into a pizza place with a shotgun because they were afraid of something. Someone may do that to me and go through my personal information, and all of a sudden that's public knowledge. So I would hope that corporations take the responsible step to vet information that they deem to be suspect before putting it out to everybody else, especially possible hacked information, because I wouldn't want my materials being put out unlawfully.
All righty. Tom, what do you think is the hazard going forward, and your closing analysis on this particular topic, sir?
The hazard is obviously misinformation. That is the biggest fear. That is the biggest problem. We can't have a democracy if misinformation is being spread. We can't have people vote if they don't know what it is they're voting on. We can't have an informed citizens. We can't have informed citizens if they don't know the information that they're using to vote on something. It's like when someone says, "Hey, the CIA said X," and then when you say, "Well, when did they say that?" They say, "Well, Politico said X." Or when they say, that that Trump's tweets got blocked, when really they got like a little tag at the bottom of them. Or they say that Blinken said this thing when Blinken never said the thing at all. There's the New York Post that continues posting things. The Wall Street Journal finally admits the laptop story is real. They never denied it. They've been like following it the entire time. All they did was just say that the FBI confirmed it. But they'll do this with every newspaper when they come out and say that that the FBI confirmed it. Oh, they're finally acknowledging that it's a real thing. Nobody could have known that it was a real thing until it was confirmed. But they're all willing to just push as much misinformation as possible just to make sure that everybody's heads explode in the meantime, and they get a lot of clicks. And it's the incentives there are problematic for free and fair election.
All righty. Tony, do you want to go first, or you want me to go?
Yeah, I'll go. The hazard is pretty simple. It's that we're never going to be given the full story on anything ever, regardless of where that information is coming, because frankly, the truth is going to be too damaging to the people who don't want it to be heard. And that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle they sit on. It just doesn't. But it is very telling when specific ways of manipulation of information being released to the general public are being persuaded one way over the other, that the fans of one are not as upset about it as the fans of the other. And that's just going to be the way that it is. Again, this is the monster. There's no way to slay it now. It's just going to get worse before it gets better. We're at the age of social media being more important to information being spread about politicians and political information than the news outlets, because over the last couple of years, especially during the COVID debacle, people have begun to trust the news less and less and less and less. And it's basically become a meme at this point. So like it or not, people are getting a lot of the information from social media because that's where the news outlets are being shared on social media. Nobody's sitting around. Well, people are sitting around watching Fox News, watching CNN, but a lot of the articles are being shared via social media. And a lot of the talking points are being echoed on social media. And a lot of fake profiles are echoing those exact same things, whether it be a person based in Russia spreading a fake rumor for the Republicans, whether it be some fucking lunatic like JoJo from Jurors on Twitter spreading lefty propaganda with the blue check mark and people just lapping it up like a cat at the milk tray. It's insane. The information is going to be there regardless. It's just a matter of, now I know private company censorship is up to them, right? But at the same time, free speech still exists. So where do you draw the line? Where do you end that connection? And we saw a lot of that coming with the Elon Musk stuff. He exposed a lot of that corruption coming from one of the big ones. Now, I'm not like an Elon Musk simp boy, but I do like to know that these things did happen. These things did exist. These things are happening. It's verifiable. We've had these assumptions for a long time, especially as live stream podcasters. We're being silenced a lot. We're being favored less than other people who are saying other things. I don't like being silenced, and I don't like having other people silenced. I think everybody should have their voice being able to be heard if they want it to be heard, as long as it's within the parameters of being a decent human being. That's where I draw the line. If you can't be a decent human being, folks, just maybe you don't need to be heard. And if you don't know what I'm talking about being a decent human being, well, it's not that hard to figure out. So the hazard is that if we're going to pick and choose what we want to let out there in the public eye, I think it's always going to be a slippery slope, and it's never going to be fair. It's never going to be 50-50. It's just not. You can't slay that beast. You just can't. But you can do it as an individual. Understand the information that you're being given is going to be pushed one way or the other. Look at it from as many perspectives as you can and try to deviate the solution from there. That's the only suggestion I can make. And the analysis is very simple. Social media is not going anywhere, and it's just going to get more and more plastered all over our everyday lives. It's going to be ingrained within our very own bodies. And unfortunately, that's probably not going to be beneficial to people trying to figure out how they should lean politically, how they should vote, how they should think. In fact, that's probably the scariest portion of it. So when it comes to deciding who you want to vote for, take all the information you can, but also try to remember where it's coming from.
Well, folks, the hazard is one that we've been wrestling with since the trial and death of Socrates. Who is to decide? Who is to decide what is fit for you to read, what is fit for you to know, what is fit for you to discuss, what is fit for you to consider? Because we've had somebody say that we can't have democracy with disinformation. We have had disinformation since we left Babylon, and we have still been able to have democracy thrive. What we cannot survive, what no democracy, no republic can truly survive, is information being curated in favor of those in power. If that is what happens, then we don't truly have a democracy. We don't truly have anything other than the Kingdom of Oceania from 1984. So that is the true hazard. The final closing analysis is we are eventually going to have to decide how much leeway and how much sway social media has over our political process. They've already demonstrated the fact that they're in it, and they're not going to get out unless they're coaxed out one way or another. So, folks, like I've always said, the one thing that our species needs more than anything, just like the separation of church and state was one of the greatest achievements of our species, we also need a separation of science and politics. We also need a separation of law enforcement and politics, and eventually we're going to need a separation of social media and politics. Science and politics is the most important for our species, but eventually we're going to have to find a way to make all of these separations. Our very species is at stake. And with that, I yield.
You didn't say church.
Church and state?
Yes.
Yeah, well, yeah, the separation of church and state is one of the greatest ideas of our species in a long,
Just
long
don't
time.
do it.
Oh, you can go to church. There's many marvelous people that go to church.
I know a lot of people
know,
I know a lot of pimps that go to church because they're always saying church, and I don't know why. You know what I'm saying?
I know a lot of
I
churches that are
think they're
shilling
not
for-
going to an actual church. I think they're going somewhere else.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
and yet the Westboro
Take me
Baptist
to
is dead.
church.
So Gross.
So, well, gentlemen, Tony, what is the next topic du jour this evening?
All right, so we've got they kind of go hand in hand, but let's start here. I don't think this will be nearly as I hope it's not nearly as contentious, but
that sounds like a challenge, Tony. All right, Tom.
I wasn't meant to be. Phil, it wasn't meant to be a challenge. Don't
start
take
stretching, Tom.
No, don't do it. Get along.
I'm terrified.
Have you met us? While watching a conversation about us?
Not happening.
I want everybody to hug each other. Oh, come on. I make my kids hug each other when they have a disagreement. It works, all right? All right, so...
Nice.
Let's go. Get through the introduction so we can fight faster.
Fuck, I'm getting it working.
Thank you,
guys. And
Jesus. Tony's just like,
right.
Shit.
Fans producer.
Tony, refresh.
Why did he do this every time he gives topics?
I'm going to. Yeah,
Tony's
right. It's horse shit.
Yeah,
I think it's the sharing of the
read
screen that uses a lot more bandwidth, and so when he
it's
shares
probably
the screen, it causes problems.
It's also probably the fact that all of his children are on some sort of tablet at the moment.
I think it depends on the website too. That like that one website with all the weird ass advertisements. You're getting your bandwidth sucked up by stupid advertisement and automatic videos.
Yeah, you really need like anything to block this shit. Like I'm seeing all your
so let me give you two recommendations.
You block where you go on Pornhub.
You need to go, especially that. You block and ad block. Load them both on your Chrome and experience life without advertisements. All right.
Tony, are you back? Can you hear us?
I'm gonna refresh real quick.
Okay, you do that.
Here comes the Pornhub link.
It's like, so we're talking about the Fox Dominion thing. Well, guys,
I think I make Osiris smoke. But
you.
Yeah, for real, Phil. Like, dude, how much does that hurt? How much crow is that for a lot of people?
Actually, not. Funny enough, I'm just gonna let y'all what's the crow I'm eating here exactly?
No, not you. I'm saying the public that believed in the election fraud lies that Fox News was saying, but not believe in their own emails. They were reporting news they themselves did not believe in order to maintain their cash flow. How much crow is that for the people that cited Fox News?
Now,
the crow pie is gigantic.
To get very technical here, if you look, even in Dominion's complaint, not once does the word lie or the allegation of a lie ever come out of Dominion's complaint in regards to Fox News. What their complaint? Hang on. Actually, the complaint was not about either. Actually, it was amplifying. That was actually the complaint. They said you were amplifying somebody else who was saying something we disagree with. So Fox, because they understood, all right, if we just settle this out of court, because let's be frank, everybody wants to get out from under a judge. There ain't nobody that's ever had to face a judge that says, I'd like to spend more time in front of here. Bullshit. Anybody says hasn't been in front of a judge in a while. Osiris, tell me you ain't been in front of a judge in a while. Telling me you ain't been in front of a judge in a while.
It's not about the judge. It's about all the other side effects too, the ripple effects that this has.
Yes.
Because it changes news if that goes to trial. No, hold on. Because if it is true, and Fox doesn't want, and they want to just bury it, then they'll lose advertisers.
Can we get the introduction of the story before we all start arguing about this? I gotta.
Come on,
Tom. We were. Good?
Can we wrangle these cats?
Tony, are you ready yet?
I hope so. I'm working off my Wi-Fi because my kids apparently chewed through my Ethernet cable like a fucking pack of mice. I don't know. So yeah, my Ethernet cable's not working properly, so I'm running off Wi-Fi. I apologize. I hope I'm not terribly choppy.
I just have to say, I've had 7 kids. I haven't even experienced that one. That's a new one to me. I'm gonna have to get my kids to chew through my Ethernet so I can
look forward to it. It's fun.
Be on your thing.
I'm assuming they chewed through it. I can't confirm or deny. That might be Russian disinformation.
Okay. Oh wait, now that I see the name, okay, I know who Osiris is. Okay, sorry, I didn't recognize you until I saw the name. Okay, my bad.
You've been on here for a minute, man.
And I've been familiar with your latest pieces of work with laugh and all kinds of shit going on.
Oh, you
very
doing
entertaining
that
stuff.
shit?
Very entertaining.
So
Oh,
yeah, I have
Lord
a hate
almighty.
button
Been
for
putting
Mr.
in
Girl,
work.
so
Mhm.
that's my only issue. Lav, I could care less, but I have a hate boner for Mr. Girl.
Went from a 10
Well.
viewer Andy to averaging 100 concurrent viewers right now. So
Not bad.
Congratulations.
It's glad to see you're actually hitting your stride, Tom. And it's like, because there was about a year there, you did fucking brute force streaming, and it took a while, but you got there, man. So I'm actually glad to see it for you, sir.
appreciate
But
it.
Congratulations.
yeah, but like now, who would have thunk that internet drama might work? So let me tell you about a couple of them no good so and so's. Oh, right here, Tom.
Hey,
You
Tom.
no good so
I think
and so.
everybody knew me pissing people off was going to be my my path to victory the entire time. Just being smug and just putting my head down and giga chatting my way through. I think who would have known?
Just
No, I'm
smirk
not
your way
asking for
through
the
it.
friend.
Yeah,
Oh Lord.
Tony.
All right.
You,
No, actually, hang on.
we stop
If he
bull
wants
crapping?
if he wants me to fight, we'll meet in the cage. We'll donate all proceeds to charity.
All right,
It'll be a charity MMA fight. I like it.
And we'll
Can I-
advertise it as what's his name's back from the dead.
It's General
Can I-
Tiberius.
Wait.
Can I
Did you
ref
guys
that?
see? Did
Wait,
you guys see that
Chris
Wings?
Farley.
Ref
We'll
that.
say Chris Farley is back from the dead, and he's doing a cage fight. And
No, wait. Did you guys see Wings of Redemption versus Boogie's 29 whatever the fuck it is his name? The advertisement says 800 pounds, one ring. You guys got to do that one. You
all
gotta
right,
do that
Tony's got bandwidth for about 30 seconds. We got
I
to
was
let
say, I
him.
think we wasted all my
Okay,
refresh.
sorry, my bad. Let's go.
All right, so this is coming from MSNBC, and I mostly picked that just to make Phil like
Lies
cringe.
and
God.
misinformation. Lies.
Well, Fox News Dominion sentiment critics, what you might not know. Earlier this week, Fox News financially paid a price for years of spreading lies and misinformation at a $787.5 million. It was, to put it mildly, an extraordinarily expensive lesson to settle the lawsuit brought by Dominion Voting Systems over false allegations of fraud related to the 2020 election. Fox will pay one of the largest monetary settlements ever
Bracket that
in a
shit.
defamation case. Some critics of the agreement, however, are publicly wondering whether Fox really learned its lesson. Rupert wins again, declared Politico media critic Jack Schaefer in a reference to Fox Corp. Chairman Rupert Murdoch, while $787.5 million is nothing to sneeze at, Fox News has more than $4 billion in cash on hand. So it's not as if it can't afford to pay
Bracket
Dominion.
covered.
Okay, sidebar. Why does that matter? Why does the fact that they have $4 billion in cash on hand matter?
It matters because they
Because
could
we
have took
want
this to
them
suit.
broke.
They could have took this to suit and then not gone broke. They
Yes.
could have actually, if they
So
cared
what?
about it, they could have done it.
The price tag's the price tag.
Right. No, but the reason that they settle is because they were just about to start having like opening statements and everything.
Yeah.
And if they actually went through the hearings and everything, they could have lost a lot more.
There was more discoveries to come, and they just decided, Tony, remember watching This Is Spinal Tap, and when they were talking about how the one drummer died, and the blonde guy goes, the authorities thought it was just best if that remained unsolved. And so, it's everybody talks a bunch until they're Tiberius. Okay, all right,
Okay.
let it just be noted who
No.
blinked first. But
Damn.
oh, brutal.
Yeah.
Can I
But
propose a handicap?
Yeah.
I'll give him all the
No,
judging.
we're on the
handicap.
article now, Phil. We're on the article.
Wrangle the
Damn.
cats, Tony. Wrangle the cats.
It's impossible. I had no joke. I had 4 or 5 stories one night, and we got through fucking one of them because it just turned into the fucking part 2 of Truth and Fiction.
Well, let's
because
do it. I have to go
these
to
two
bed
fuckers could
20.
not back down from each other. Just
Hey, we
no.
should make them live together and make a TV show out of it. We'd make
Jesus
millions.
Christ.
We'd make millions.
I'm
Oh
only here
my
on a
God.
Sunday because it's K.O.E. Isn't this the Lord's Day? Let's get through this.
Oh, yes. In
All right.
Tuscany.
Article continues. Indeed, even in announcing the agreement, Fox continued to gaslight and acknowledge the court's rulings, finding certain claims about Dominion to be false, but it asserted that the settlement reflects Fox's continued commitment to the highest journalistic standards. I'm sorry, that's funny. The latter
Oh, it hurts.
applied to Fox
Oh,
News.
that ain't good. Tony's a pretty moderate normie motherfucker. If he's laughing, that
That's fucking hilarious.
that hurt more than anything else through this. Tony laughing right there. That actually, Jesus, that's.
The latter clause, when it applied to Fox News, is akin to throwing the irony into a pit of acid. While it's easy to sympathize with the frustrations over the settlement, it's hard to see how a public apology or contrition would change the cult-like hold that Fox News has on its viewers. Now, to be completely fair, Fox isn't the only one with a cult-like following. After all, they don't tune into the network because they want to get fair and balanced news and information.
I gotta say something about the irony of this article. Talking about Fox's fair and balanced non-existence while also being not fair or balanced in this article. Just saying.
Right. Yeah. No, that's cracking me up. Like
it is MSNBC kind of like, yeah.
Blatantly biased.
It's a dunk. It's a dunk all day.
Well, remember how much Fox
fair.
dunked on MSNBC when Rachel Maddow had to say, yeah, don't take everything I say seriously. I'm an entertainer. And they dunked on MSNBC for months. And so this is MSNBC. Like, hey, Tony, I've always said turnabout's fair play. MSNBC, you get this one.
I'm going to
respect that, Phil. I respect that, Phil. Finally. That's really good of you.
Hey. Turnabout's fair play. Like they talked mad shit when Rachel made those admissions in court. So it's like, yeah, MSNBC kind of gets to get a few pot shots in.
So this paragraph I'm mostly going to skip. The reason the case emerged is because this is when Trump was likely going to lose the re-election bid, and Fox correspondents wanted to correct Trump's repeated mistruths about the election, blah, blah, blah. Then they take pot shots at Newsmax and One America to get their daily falsity fix. They found other, even less scrupulous media outlets, blah, blah, blah. MSNBC is absolute
that is some great
garbage. Response at Fox was swift and predictable. When the channel's election team called Arizona for Joe Biden, Fox News CEO Suzanne Scott railed, not rallied, against those responsible for failing to protect Fox's brand. When White House correspondent K.O.E. Henrik fact-checked a tweet by Trump spreading election lies, star host Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity demanded that Fox fire her. More just railing it. So this is just getting less and less and less fair and balanced. But you get the gist.
Fair and balanced.
Yeah.
So Fox is paying a lot of fucking money.
Lethe's like, fuck you, fair bounce, I'm out. I can't even
This is why you should write news stories and put them online with the sources and cite your sources, or at least as clear as you can, and you don't have these problems. Just wildly putting shit out there in the ether is cancerous.
It's not even that. It wasn't wild. That's the entire thing, is that there is tons of evidence of them talking about it in the background, saying that they don't even believe in the stuff that they were saying about Dominion. They have emails, they have phone call recordings, they have text messages of like Tucker Carlson, Hannity, even Rupert Murdoch, all saying that they don't believe any of these things. They have, and still to this day, as far as I know, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but last I checked, Fox still has not retracted any of the stuff that they put out about Dominion. Still to this minute, they don't have to as far as the settlement goes. They have to as far as being a credible news source. Yes, they need to retract that. Yes, of course they do.
Now, I gotta say, Tiberius says Phil is more fair and balanced than Fox. Like, are you feeling okay? Is your like, you might need to go back to the doctor.
I already popped it up. We don't have to spend 5 minutes on
that's because Alex Jones broke after getting, like, I was about to say, like, the reason that Dominion didn't go after Alex Jones is because he already owes $850 trillion to the Sandy Hook families forever and ever. And like, I think like this is like one of those, the debt goes 3 generations. Like, even your grandchildren have to pay this debt. So like,
in perpetuity.
Yeah, it's just one of those like, hey, Lethe, welcome back. So yeah, that's why they didn't go after
still
Alex
hurt,
Jones.
by the way.
Oh, it hurt. It hurt. Not as much as me. Like that was painful for me. Like and Fox fair and bounce. And I'm like, Oh, that's pain.
Yeah,
That's,
but
that's
we
Republican
know the
pain.
three major. I think the news networks are pretty fair. It's the 24 hours, 7 days a week news networks they're that arm of those news networks that are
Well,
not.
local news is
Yeah,
fair.
trust
No.
local news.
Even CNN. If you look through CNN, Fox, and NBC or MSNBC or whatever, if you look through the bulk of their articles, they're pretty fair. Most of the articles, if you go to their websites or go,
Compared to who?
no. I'm not talking about the TV stuff. I'm not talking
That's
about
a
the
good
TV
question.
stuff. I'm talking about if you go to their websites and actually read actual news articles, they're mostly good by good journalists.
Are you going to include MSNBC in that? Because what I just
Yes.
read was a bunch of grade
No,
A horse shit.
I don't know. No, that's why I was laughing at it, because that's not typical. That is
No,
bullshit. That was
that
a
was
bullshit
awful.
article. That was 100% bullshit article.
That's how most articles sound to Republicans. Now you know how a far right wing
Yeah.
person reads most mainstream news. Like,
And I mean,
it's like,
I-
this is bullshit. What about this shit? God damn it! Like, yeah,
Yeah, I'd just like to point out that CNN, throughout the entire Russiagate thing, ended up firing 16 different journalists over getting things wrong. Some of them like small little things on the Russiagate stuff. They got it wrong and got fired fairly quickly, and tons of retractions came out. They didn't have to get sued. They didn't have to give a settlement on this one, at least with the Sandman stuff they did. But the although they retracted the Sandman stuff before anyways, but either way, like this is insane that a news outlet would go this far and still not retract the story while losing lawsuits, while emails and text messages and everything's coming out proving that they knew they were lying. They are still refusing to retract the story. This is just that to me is the biggest story right now.
I want to agree with Tom, but I want to reduce it. It's what all the manosphere, the red pill, all these other wonderful people are talking about: accountability. Take accountability for your fuck ups.
Well, yeah.
That's what Tom is saying. So
that's what I agree with.
It's an industry practice for if you get a story wrong in the news, and I believe that the majority of journalists are good journalists. If you actually go and read actual journalism and not the headlines, not the top thing on the top of the CNN website or whatever's on TV, you'll find that most of the journalists are doing good work. When they fuck something up, they'll retract it, apologize for it, and put in the new information. That's how journalism is supposed to work.
But the general attention span of the public, they're only going to read that headline.
I know.
Well, and then on top of that, the Smartmatic, I believe, is also going to sue them as well. So
that one's not going to go the same way. They may as well just not do that.
But same with the president or the ex-president and the document scandal. Had he taken accountability, given up the documents, the same as Pence did, the same as Biden did, the same as every other politician, has just said, yeah, come take them, rather than, but they're mine. Maybe we wouldn't be here.
We're about to
take accountability.
Here's the thing. Biden, though, was negligent with his documents. He didn't even know where they were. Trump knew exactly where they were. They were under lock and key. No, I'm sorry. Biden, they were behind his fucking Corvette in his garage. He didn't even know them. He admitted to not knowing they were there. And so that is him being negligent with national security.
Phil.
That is worse than anything Trump is even accused of.
Phil, I literally said that earlier. A lot of times these public officials have documents that they're not supposed to have, and they don't even know they have them, or it's an accident that they have them. They got put in with some other documents. Literally, I said that earlier. That is happening all the fucking time. It is normal in the federal government for that to happen. I think what the argument is, I'm not saying this. The argument for Trump is he knew he had them, and he then was told that he had them. That's said to give them back, and he's like,
it's not even that. It's that he was told to give them back and refused. That was the issue. So like it's similar to like with Hillary, where it's the same thing with
Bill Clinton, where he purged himself and he said, "Hey, I had sex with the you had sex with the girl? No, I didn't have sex with the girl. I got head from the girl." You're using
when that dress came
minutia. You're minutiaing the conversation.
Well,
at this
no,
point.
because Trump knew where these documents were at all time. Biden did not. So that's being
So why didn't Trump give
negligent
them
with
back? Tell me
national
this. Why
security,
didn't Trump give them
which is
back?
actually
That's not the
worse.
charge.
No.
The
Both-
charge is
both
No,
things
why
are
did
allowed
Trump
to be
get
true.
raided? Is well, we
Both
now
are
know
allowed to be
Biden
true.
didn't say
signed
that.
off on the
Why
raid.
didn't
He
he give them
refused to
back?
give them back. What do you mean? He
Well, here's
refused
the
to give
thing.
them
A lot
back.
of people don't know that Trump actually, any
True
president,
primary.
can unilaterally declassify any information they want to,
didn't
and they
do
don't
that.
even have to inform anybody per an executive order signed by President
No,
Obama.
that is not true.
So
That's
that is
not true,
absolutely
dude.
true.
No, it is
Yes,
not true.
absolutely
You
it
have
is.
to
The president
officially
does
say
not
it.
have to sign off or inform anybody
No,
when they
this
want
is
to
how-
declassify
this is how-
information.
No,
This
wait,
is
wait,
you are
this is
just
how
wrong.
a president
You
no,
are
I'm
just
sorry.
wrong
This is
here.
absolutely
No,
correct.
Just wrong.
this is
Everybody,
how-
the audience will find everything I said is quite
hold on.
verifiable.
Phil,
No,
this
And
is
it's
so,
not.
like, no, you just don't want, because if that's the case, then Obama's been in violation of this law. Biden was vice president and a senator. He never
We're
even
all in
had
violation of law.
Phil,
classification
No,
Phil,
or any
Phil,
clearance
Phil,
to get
Phil,
this
Phil,
kind of
Phil.
information.
At what
So at
point
that point,
was
he's
Obama
violating
asked to
any
hand over
numerous
documents?
amounts of laws.
Okay,
Phil,
What
Phil,
point was
it's
Obama
not true
asked to
that they
hand over
don't.
documents?
It's not true that they don't
Jameson,
have to
that's
get
a good
permission
one.
from
I like it.
anybody else. It does have a verification process that it has to go through that Trump did not go through, but Obama did go through this. I don't think Biden went through it, but
And-
there is a process. After you say that they are declassified, you do have to go through a process of making sure
Or-
that they can be declassified.
Or you can do this. This is what a president can do. He can just merely utter it out of his mouth. That makes it declassified.
It
But he
still
had-
has to go through the process, though. It's not again. It is not automatically
don't-
declassified.
I'm not familiar with that.
Things
my
have so
understanding-
listen. As far as like it being so, yes, you are correct. Like he says, it's declassified. It is so that it is declassified. But in order for it
No,
to
no, no, no,
actually
no,
like
no, no.
on
I'm sorry.
paper
He doesn't have
be
to say it's declassified. He has to say the information.
Well,
Once he
question
says
to
that
Osiris
information,
and Tom.
the president that makes it declassified.
Well, to both of you, I'm asking, does it need to be published? Like something you said on live or something that was published in media for it to be declassified?
No, he has to say it out of his mouth. So if I said
who?
K.O.E. has a American flag behind him, and that's declassified information, and I'm the president of the United States, it's declassified now. That's
But
how
I'm
that
asking
works.
to one person or to the media, like if there was one person in the room and he said something classified to that person, is it now declassified? Or does he have to say it
Public.
where it is published?
Public.
That's what I'm saying. Is it published? Yes.
Yes.
At that point,
I
it'll be
didn't know what you
public.
meant by
It's an
public.
announcement.
Sorry, I didn't.
Yeah. Anyways, on top of that, Trump did deny that he had the documents at first. Then they kept saying, "No, you have them. We need them." Then he finally said, "Okay, we have them," and then said, "Okay, we'll give them back to you," but didn't give them back, and then didn't give them back, and then didn't give them back. It's not insane that he eventually got raided. It's
Over a
crazy that
year.
it took so long
and they
for
had
him
this
to
argument
get
for
raided.
over a year, by the way.
Okay, now this is just one lawyer's opinion on the Hill, but lacking any written record, the former president's claim is seen as typical Trump, just winging it when it comes to asserting presidential powers. That none of his lawyers have advanced this argument in court reaffirms the opinion that most should not be taken seriously. But it would be wrong to simply dismiss Trump's assertion. It is an issue that is in danger of falling through the cracks. Presidents have long claimed the authority to classify material by dint of president being the nation's chief executive and commander-in-chief, the only official vested under Article 2 of the Constitution with the executive power. Any other official involved in classifying material does so, it is argued, because the president has delegated that authority to that official. And because the president has the underlying power to classify, he has by implication the unilateral authority to declassify. And so that is very much the argument
Yes,
Trump has put
nobody's
forward.
arguing
And
that.
so if you wanted the articles back,
No,
we
that's
knew
not what he
exactly
said.
where there were.
He
There
didn't
was
say
no
he
reason to
declassified-
have an FBI raid.
No,
Really,
he
they
didn't-
were
he didn't say he
fishing,
declassified
hoping to
this
find a
information.
bag of Coke or something
But
while
he
they
didn't
were
say
at it.
that.
Talking
He didn't.
about?
He
That-
didn't.
that-
He
that's
didn't say
literally
that.
They
what
knew
do you
exactly where the
mean? Like,
documents were. He even cooperated and actually put a lock on that they wanted him to. So he was
Yes.
cooperating
That's not
with
true.
investigators the entire. Yes, he did. He put on
The
a lock that
FBI
they
asked for those
specified
things
him,
multiple times,
and
told
he
him to give
did
them
so.
back.
He was cooperating,
That
and
was
so
almost
there's no
a year
reason
and a
cooperating,
half.
for
why
an
didn't he
FBI
give back?
raid that
If he was
Garland, the
cooperating,
guy
why didn't
who
he give
Trump
back?
shafted out of a Supreme Court nomination and a
So-
Supreme Court
so 12
seat,
He's
wait,
still
cooperating, why
happened to
didn't he
sign
give
off
back?
on the raid. You don't think there's a little appearance of propriety there?
12 months
he's
earlier, when they asked
cooperating,
for the
why didn't he
documents,
give it
why
back?
didn't he give them back?
Yes, Why didn't he give it back? If he's cooperating, why didn't he give it back?
Because he is
No, then
saying
he's
and
not
asserting that is his property, and why
Then he's
should he
not
give it back?
cooperating.
Every
Don't say he's
president
not
gives
cooperating.
things back.
He's
Every
not
president
cooperating.
keeps things, and so he's saying this is where they are. They knew exactly where they were,
should be a
and they
lawyer,
were still
bro.
going through
I
a
would hire you,
process.
dude.
Yes,
So, like,
so
I'm
say
sorry.
he's not
I would
cooperating.
too.
I could talk my way into being a named partner of any law firm.
Say he is not cooperating. Say that he is not cooperating because
No, he
believes
actually was
is correct.
cooperating. He actually put on the lock that they insisted on.
Bandit's telling
They
the
had
truth.
it under
Bandit said the
Secret
truth.
Service watch, man. I'm
Nobody's
sorry.
asking about
They
that.
were secure.
Stop pivoting.
Period.
You're talking
Period.
about
Full
something different.
stop.
You're talking about something different, okay?
They were
We're
completely safe. There was
Talking about
nothing
something
that was
different
going
again.
to happen
Yes.
to these documents.
all of this
Period.
information.
They were under
nobody's
Secret
asking about-
Service watch and
Nobody's asking about
FBI
this.
lock and key.
Nobody's asking about this. Nobody's asking about that. Okay, keep
Good
keep
night, my
talking
dude.
about what nobody's talking about. Okay, what we're asking is if he was
playing
cooperating,
pretend.
and they said give it back, you can say okay, well he's not cooperating because he believes that he's correct, but you can't say oh he was cooperating and doing the opposite of what
Did he
they told
put a
him to
lock
do.
on that was asked of him? Yes or no?
You realize that's not what I'm
Did he?
asking,
Yes or
right?
it's a yes or no question,
No,
man.
you're refusing to answer my
It's a
question.
no
You
question.
are refusing to answer my
I just
question.
did answer
you
your
did
question.
not.
I've given you yeses and nos all night.
No, you
You
did
just
not.
don't like
Okay,
prolonged
I-
purple law.
No, I will
So
ask
I'm
again
asking
then.
you.
I will ask again.
Did
No,
he
no, no,
put
I
on
will
a
ask
lock
again.
that was asked of him? Yes or no?
Yes, he put on a lock. He
Thank you.
cooperated on
That
that
is
thing.
cooperation.
Okay, cool. That
So he was
cooperated
cooperating.
on
Thank
that
you. You
thing.
said it yourself.
Yes,
Thank you.
he cooperated on that thing. Now, when it comes to giving the papers back, when it
The
comes to
process
giving
wasn't
the
finished.
documents back, that's not what I asked. When it comes to giving the documents
legal
back,
process wasn't
and they
finished.
asked for him to
That's
give
the
them
way
back.
any
Did
legal
he
proceeding works.
cooperate?
The procedure wasn't finished,
Yes
so
or no?
no, he
Did
has
he
not.
cooperate?
He's not cooperated with something he's not required to do. No.
Exactly. That's what I said. That's what I said. I said you could say, "Oh, well, he's not cooperating because he believes that he's correct," but you can't say he's
Something he's not
cooperating
required to
and
do.
doing the
And he
opposite
wasn't
of what
required to put on the lock either, yet he still cooperated. So,
Putting
sorry, he
on
was
the lock,
cooperating the
nobody
entire
cares about
time.
the
We knew
fucking
exactly
lock.
where the documents were the
cares about
entire
the
time.
lock.
They were under Secret
Nobody
Service
cares.
observation the entire time. With Biden, we had no such consideration. His crackhead son could have gotten this classified documents, and there's a non-0% chance that he could sell that to the Chinese. So Biden's negligence actually did put our national security in danger, but we're all playing pretend that Trump keeping some of his own presidential souvenir documents has anything to do with national security is really just folks
Bill
who
might
have
be an asshole, but he's not wrong technically.
Hey.
So how did Hunter threaten our national? Let's go back to Hunter Biden. How did he?
No.
threaten our national
If he
security?
has access to these national security secrets, and it's already known that he has shady dealings with the Chinese and the Ukrainians, as we found out through the very true Hunter Biden laptop, who he could have very easily sold any of these secrets. And there's a non-0% chance that that actually happened because he actually listed the residence where Joe Biden had the negligently stored documents. Hunter Biden lists that as one of his residents. So he had full access to national security documents.
we
So
on
I'm
a
sorry,
what
this
about it? Is
negligence
that what
is
we're doing
worse
right
than
now?
anything Trump is even accused of.
That's
Okay, well, that's
Absolutely true, unfortunately.
But the point is, there was multiple times that he was informed that he had documents he should not have, multiple, and then he was asked to give them back. And every president, as far as I know, in the last 20 years or so, maybe longer, has had documents that he shouldn't have, and they usually just give them back because this is normal. Because for some reason, our government's inefficient. Who would have thought? And they don't know how to fucking keep track of all their papers. And they say, "Oh, wait, we lost some papers. You please give back the papers." Then they usually give back the papers in a couple months, right? That's normal things. The thing that makes this ridiculous is that Trump had the papers for over a year and a half, and he just wouldn't give them back for whatever fucking reason. And all he had to do was give back the papers, and we could have avoided all of this. This was not no political operative thing. This was
Garland
just
signed
negligence.
off
There was
on
a
the
negligence
thing.
out of the
The
highest
guy
degree.
that Trump shafted out of a Supreme Court seat signs off on the FBI raid of his house.
Who else was going to do it? He's the fucking AG.
He should have
duh.
recused himself. Like, I'm sorry, there is a very big appearance of serious propriety, and he is not seeming like he is being an impartial litigator in this in any way, shape, or
If Trump
form.
had
So he
shot
needs
somebody,
to
wait,
recuse
if Trump had
himself,
shot
a lot
somebody
like
on,
Sessions did.
let me ask you this: if Trump had literally shot somebody on Fifth Avenue, and then Garland,
Do you think people would have voted for him then?
That's
I didn't ask you that. That's not what I said.
I think
If
you
he
would.
literally shot somebody on Fifth Avenue right after his presidency.
Oh,
and
you'll vote
Garland-
for Biden even after all these revelations. I know
and
that.
Garland had signed the papers to have him indicted. Would you say that would you say he was whatever you're saying right now?
Okay, say that again because I was arguing with Tom there.
Okay, so if Trump had shot somebody on Fifth Avenue post being president and Garland had to sign the papers to have him indicted, would he be wrong?
Okay, this is objectionable and actionable. This is something that someone's been objectively damaged in some way. Trump holding on to these documents, no one can demonstrate damages. Actually, that's one of the biggest keys of the law is who's been damaged and who can demonstrate damages. In this case, somebody's assaulting and murdering somebody. You can demonstrate very real damages. Somebody keeping a few documents is not anything that you can demonstrate any objective or measurable damages because we can't even decide if they're classified or not because Trump has said that they are declassified. And as we've established, he is the chief declassifier. All things flow from his
that's
power.
Not what happened? Some of these were the highest level of classification, meaning they had to be in a skiff. That's what they should have been.
Still declassified them.
No, he can't. They're not declassified because for him to declassify them, he would have had to utter the words that he declassified them. He didn't do that. That didn't happen.
The president has the underlying power to classify, and by that implication, has unilateral authority to declassify.
He didn't
because all power to classify comes through the president.
But he didn't do it.
He doesn't have to tell you or anybody if he decides to declassify. He is the president. He has the unilateral power to declassify. And that you can say no, he doesn't, but that's really up for the courts to decide now.
It is.
You can say no, he doesn't, but in reality, this is going to go to court, and we are going to ultimately find out. Because guess what? No president wants a limit of their power. You are ultimately going to find out that yes, Biden and anybody after him has the unilateral power to declassify.
This was the top secret document that he wouldn't get back.
Where's the marijuana? Where's the weed? I don't believe this. This is fake news.
There we found it.
This is disinformation.
Disinformation. This is obviously Russian disinformation. They don't want us to have our weed. That's
about the level, though, because like one of them was like the original document of the pardon that he wrote for Roger Stone, and like it's that level of shit. And so
again, nobody's disagreeing on whether or not he has the ability to declassify this. You just keep repeating the same thing that nobody's disagreeing with.
Okay, sweet. He has the power to declassify. We all agree. All is wonderful. All is well.
He did.
No, he doesn't have to tell anybody. That's the thing. When you have unilateral authority, no, you don't. Sorry. Under this legal theory that's now being played out in court as we speak, and the judges aren't throwing it out.
Phil, okay.
Sorry.
So this is like you saying that like somebody has unilateral ability to run a mile. And then they just stand at the finish line and are like, I ran the mile. And you're like, yeah, they have unilateral authority to run a mile. They're standing there. They have the authority to run a mile.
If your metaphor were to actually make sense, it would be somebody running a mile without any witnesses, not telling anybody about running the mile. If your silly metaphor were to actually make sense, it would be somebody running a mile without anybody watching them. And that's what Trump did.
Ran the mile.
So that's what unilateral means. You don't have to tell anybody or inform anybody. You may do so as you wish, as you please.
Cross the finish line. Now they have actually run a mile. But in this case, he didn't actually declassify it. That actually didn't happen.
Yeah, your metaphor didn't quite work. If it were to actually work, it'd be the person running a mile by themselves without informing anybody. They don't have to inform anybody to run the mile, but they did.
That's not what unilateral means, by the way. I don't know where you keep getting this definition from.
Well, if you have the unilateral authority, you don't have to inform, or ask permission.
No, unilateral means you have the power to on one side, but that doesn't mean you don't.
Yes, you don't have to inform or ask anybody's permission.
That doesn't mean the process doesn't have to be respected.
Yes, the process is what matters. Exactly. Yes. It says you can declassify. Declassify is
without anybody questioning you, but you have to go through the process. Right.
Yeah. Well, if you're doing so unilaterally, you do not have to ask anyone's permission.
Yes, but you have to do the thing.
It's kind of like your rights to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I mean, the infringement can be just about anything. I don't have to demonstrate anything in order for my rights to be there. And so it's very much the same.
But you have to buy the gun through the process.
Yes, is that if running a mile,
you can inherit a gun
of running around 4 times, declassifying is the process of actually saying something is declassified and going through the process.
That's
of
not unilateral
declassifying.
authority, though. Like if
Yes,
I
it
run my
is.
business, I don't have to tell anybody if I want to do X, Y, or Z with my property. I don't have to tell a single soul.
You're not answering the question. You realize that,
No,
right?
I'm trying to actually give you an answer that actually works, but you just don't want to believe it because you don't agree with this legal philosophy. That's basically the long and short of it. You don't agree with this legal philosophy, full stop.
No, so what we're saying he does.
So you do agree with this philosophy that a president can unilaterally declassify something without telling anybody. So you do agree with that.
Yes,
No.
I agree.
No.
with that.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay. So then you don't
No,
think
no,
a president has unilateral authority. Okay.
No, it doesn't say without telling anybody. It says that they have unilateral authority to do X, but they have to do X in order to do it.
All
They
power
can't
flows through them.
unilateral-
And
They don't have to tell
and here's the
anybody.
thing, and the
That
X,
is
I don't have to tell anybody
You're
to
just
do
making that
jack
up.
shit
You
if
are
I want to
just
change
making
something
that
in my
up.
company because I have unilateral authority in my
hold
company.
on. That's
You
all.
are literally making that up.
The unilateral.
No, actually, I don't.
Hold on.
I'm the owner.
Hold on. The unilateral thing to do X is saying I am doing that thing. That is what declassifying means. I am doing it, and by doing it, he uttered the words. That's what it means. He did never utter those words. He just housed a bunch of papers, and then like, good.
Well, yeah, if they're my own documents, I
They're
can
not his
unilaterally
documents.
take them
They're
wherever.
not
No, like I even said, all classification power comes from the presidency, and so he has the same unilateral
They're
power
not
to
his-
declassify
first of all, they're
without
not
telling
his
anybody if he needs to. That is true power. That is true unilateral power.
That's not unilateral power.
Yes, like
No.
otherwise you have to ask someone's permission to do so.
That
That is
is
not
no.
unilateral
That's
power.
not what that means. You're making
You're
a false
saying that
dichotomy.
because he has the power to do it, now he doesn't even have to do it in order for it to be
He
done.
does not
And
have to
that's
do it
not-
explicitly.
Yes,
No.
Yes.
No, and that is the legal theory that is underpinning what he's saying. And guess what? It hasn't been thrown out yet because the judges are still considering. He's like, there is some merit here. He does have the unilateral authority, and they don't have to tell anybody when they do these types of things. And so,
You know what? I'm gonna put this on a wait and see table because
Clip it.
I don't think we're winning this one.
don't get me wrong. I accept all
he's a
Kenny
very
Extreme is a very
he's a
very
king extreme,
persuasive
yes.
motherfucker. I'll give you
I'd
that.
love to know what judge is actually sitting there saying that there's actually a point. I have not seen this. I have not heard it. I don't think that actually exists.
I'll be happy to provide it for you later. But folks, here at Hazard Analysis, we are closing in on hour 3. Tony, you got work in the morning, don't you?
Yes, let's hazard an analysis this topic.
Tom, since you and I have had the most yellings back and forth here, I'm going to let you go first on what is the hazard and the analysis going forward on this particular story, sir.
Yeah, the hazard is that he's just that people have to be held account to the processes that are already in place. This was a problem with his entire presidency. This was the problem through the entire Ukraine scandal, where he is allowed to withhold funds and he is allowed to barter with other countries. He's just not allowed to do it through a quid pro quo, and he has to go through Congress, and he has to make sure that there's like all of the steps are followed. There are processes put in place for all of these things, and over he just doesn't follow the processes, but then says, oh, I have the ability to do this, but he didn't do the thing that he has the ability to do. And so if all of these things depend on the processes, they all depend on the institutions that we're using to uphold this Yes, the institutions that we're using to uphold the entire thing. I can't think of the word I'm trying to say. But anyways, yes, the processes are important, and not following processes is the hazard.
Okay. Lethe Water Kai. What is the hazard and the analysis, sir?
I'm going to say the hazard seems to be not acknowledging the crime and missing the forest for the trees. We have issues going on within our government. Of course, there are lapses and other things. But when someone uses those lapses to try to take advantage of the system, they need to be held accountable. And accountability needs to be something that's important in this country. So that is my prescription in this case, is when you realize that politicians aren't being held accountable, we need to focus on these things. Whether it be in your favor or not, you should want your politicians and I should want my politicians, to be accountable at the end of the day.
Okay. Osiris, sir.
I'm gonna
The
agree.
hazard. And then the analyticals.
I'm gonna pretty much agree with what's already been said. And I think you said this earlier, Phil. That if I don't know if you said this, but I'll say this: if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. If it's good for one side, it's good for the other. If Hillary Clinton had done this thing, they'd have been the Republican Party had been roasting her. They'd be lighting her on fire. There'd be nonstop investigations for 3 years. I don't agree with that. I think we need to have a more expedient process. I think we need to hold our government more accountable, like Lethe said, and we need to focus in on what's right and wrong. And the thing about Trump is, he didn't know this. He came in and he was going to be the bull in the China shop, but he didn't expose what he thought he was exposing, not the drain the swamp shit, but the gentleman's agreement parts, the procedures, the processes, the boring stuff. That boring stuff is what's fundamental of the tethering and intertwining of what America is and how the institutions work together. And he exposed all that, from not hiring cabinet members and State Department members and all these other people to this issue here where he's like, I have a bunch of things mine. And in the past, usually presidents just usually conform and give it back, do a thing. But it shows that we need to have real rules in place for these things. And I hope that the American government and the institutions and the people realize gentlemen's agreements we're finding good but they're not finding good anymore. Hopefully we can put this and codify this into a law or papers or rules or however we need to do this. I think that's the greatest contribution Trump has ever had, to expose the holes in the United States government.
Interesting. Well, T, if it's all right, I'll go ahead here. And then I'll leave the final words to you, and then we'll get to our marvelous outros of all these beautiful people. The hazard is a politicized law enforcement where now not only our intelligence agencies, but now our FBI are now picking and choosing sides in the political aisle. That is a hazard, the likes of which this country has never seen. And it's one that I don't know if the Republic can survive it. Because I know a lot of people don't like Trump, but as like I told you the other day, Osiris, he was guilty 6 years ago when he went down the escalator as far as the people suffering from TDS are concerned. He is guilty, show them only the charge. And so now we get to this point where the Biden White House, under direction from Merrick Garland, is now raiding the main political opposition of the person sitting in the current White House office. This is a danger and a hazard that I pray we walk back from, but I fear it will get much, much worse before it gets any better. The final analysis here, folks, is 2024 might be one of the most contentious, tearing families apart elections of our lives. Prepare for it accordingly. And so, Tony, I hand it over to you.
The hazard is pretty simple. It's that we're seeing more so than ever on full display the politicians in the highest of seats being corrupt, being biased, misrepresenting what they strove to campaign on, doing things they should not be doing with the power that they are supposed to have, doing illegal things that they are not supposed to do and they're supposed to be held accountable for. And we're seeing this on full display and we're only caring part of the time depending on how we voted. That's the hazard. And it's been on full display for years, especially in this very discussion tonight. We've seen it because we get to pick and choose because how we prefer to vote, how we prefer to lean on the political compass scale. We know they're doing wrong. We know that they're not doing the things that they're supposed to do. And yes, things have been exposed. But we're really only caring about the things that we want to care about. The analysis is that we should care wholeheartedly whenever a politician fucks up and does something bad. We should care about him no matter what little letter is next to their name, what color of tie they wear, what side of the aisle they sit on. Hold them all accountable. Hold them all accountable for the big things, for the little things, because they are the ones that ultimately are getting those little percentages taken out of our weekly paychecks. They're the ones that we put into the positions of power. They're the ones that need to be held accountable, yet we're the ones suffering. That's not how it should be. That's not how it was ever meant to be, and yet here we are, squabbling about it. And that's exactly what they want.
Yes. Well, thank you, Tony. Now, folks, as I'm known to say around here, all that being said, thank you for joining us here at Hazard Analysis Episode 5, folks. I want to send out the biggest thank yous to Tom Foolery, Lethe Waterkai, and Osiris for coming, lending your acumen here, giving pushback. It was all fun. And every last one of you, welcome back here anytime. Folks, Hazard Analysis on YouTube. Please like, share, subscribe. You can, of course, find me, Phil K.O.E. at K.O.E. Nation on YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch. And we're going to give every last one of these beautiful people their time, their just dues. And let's start with Osiris, sir. Where can the folks find you and all that good stuff?
Yeah, look, if you want the most non-based, boring, technical, just me saying shit, you can go to find me on Osiris on Twitter. I'm head of these nuts, all right? And I'm going to say a bunch of bullshit that doesn't really matter about anything. I don't talk about political shit on Twitter because I don't want to talk to you motherfuckers. I don't give a fuck about you motherfuckers, and I don't give a shit. Or you can go watch my old videos on YouTube, Osiris Tech, and learn some Linux shit, right? Learn some technology shit. If you actually give a fuck about any of this social media shit, learn the technology behind it. Learn what is going on. Learn what is happening so that you can be informed about why the things are happening the way they're happening. I say that for everything. So, follow me. And maybe one day I'll stream again. But right now I'm busy. I have kids who hate my life. But it is what it is.
Well done. Lethe.
He's so skilled he can do it with his eyes closed, man.
Nice. Lethe, where can the beautiful people find you, sir?
Every Wednesday, I have this wonderful panel called The Minds of the Ecclesia. You may find Phil there some days. You may find any individual. It's kind of a change-up at this point, but we're doing great content on topics nobody would expect, and I hope people join in. So on all platforms except YouTube, and I'm going to get to that, at Lethe Waterkai, including Twitter, everything else.
Excellent. And the first time appearance on Hazard Analysis of Tom Foolery. Thank you for being here. Where can the folks find you?
YouTube under Tom Foolery Show, or I have like a TikTok and a Facebook and a bunch of other stuff as well. YouTube.com/Tom Foolery Show.
Excellent. Oh, gotta show off the gun show.
Oh,
Nice.
Bam.
And then, of course, me, your king of extreme, Phil K.O.E., the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man makes it the podcast cower, the prince and potentate of the political parlance, the lord of the Scottish Highlands, and one damn handsome man if I do say so myself. You can, of course, find me at K.O.E. Nation on YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch. That is K.O.E. Nation. K is in king, O is in oh my god. You can find K.O.E. Nation on YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch. E is in extremely happy to know you can find K.O.E. Nation on YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch. And I am also current reigning, defending tribal chief of the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, which you can find on YouTube and Spotify, folks. Thank you for being here. thank you for joining us. I hope all of you make it back here to Hazard Analysis happy, healthy, much the wiser. God bless every last one of you. Show so nice I had to outro it twice. All that being said, Tony G, take us away.
Thank everybody for joining us tonight. Thank you, all of our guests. This was an excellent episode. Loved all the discussion. This was fantastic. You can find me at Tony the Rod on TikTok. You can find me at Big Buck and Empire on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch. You can find me at the Revolutionaristic Podcast on YouTube and Spotify. You can find me at the Dog and Chicken Show on YouTube and the Big Buck and Empire on YouTube. And of course, here, Sundays, 9 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time at Hazard Analysis. And you can find me coming up next at the Dog and Chicken Show, coming up next Friday night, episode 181. Folks, I appreciate everybody for sticking with it, watching this. This was a lot of fun. And of course, if you can, please go to the YouTube channel and subscribe because, yeah, we need it. Please, YouTube is just a bastard when it comes to allowing your things to be seen. So I appreciate everybody for watching. Please go subscribe. Thanks to our guests. Thanks to our viewers. And we will catch you next time. Later.
And see if it just smooths itself out.
Back, tell you what I'll do. If I ever get back, I promise to refabricate you. Raging rivers of gold. That's what the brochure advertised. And now we're lost. We gotta take it down. Let you down slow. It's hard to survive. Nice.